Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers.
ESPN
1025 and 1063.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
The leading receiver.
Awesome
in
game 7.
Checker flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 and 1063 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It's showtime.
And welcome into the Wednesday edition of Robby and Rexrode here on 1025, 1063 The Game. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic, intern Hanley here with you on this Wednesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Hope everybody's doing well today. Joe Rexrode, what's going on? How's life? How are you?
Life's pretty good. I'm just between, viewings of Unrivaled. So,
Yes.
Just wait for my next time to watch it.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right. Michelle, how are you? What's going on?
Guys, doing great. I just started Unrivaled last night, and I wasn't familiar, with this whole rivalry until you guys kind of introduced it to me, like leading up to this E60. And I mean, it was incredible. I haven't finished it yet, and then after having Darren McCarty on yesterday and then seeing him in this, I was like,
Oh, yeah.
damn. But no, it was awesome just to watch, and I'm not quite done with it yet, but very, very well done.
It's first off, it is very well done, I thought, by ESPN, but it's pretty intense. Love me some Avs Red Wings. By the way, if you missed the interview with Darren McCarty, we'll have that coming up at 6:30 as well. So looking forward to that a little bit later this hour here today on the program. Joe, June 29th is always a special day for me ever since June 29th of 2016, because it causes me to look back and reflect on a big moment in my career, but really just a big moment in the history of this city. And today is the 6-year anniversary of the Shea Weber PK Subban trade on June 29th of 2016. I told the story many times. I was sitting down eating a burger, and then all of a sudden, Shea Weber, the report came out on Twitter that he was traded to the Montreal Canadiens in exchange for PK Subban. What a big day that was. What a huge trade that was. I think clearly the biggest trade in terms of just scope of it in the history of the Nashville Predators. What do you remember about that day back on June 29th of 2016? It's hard to believe that it was 6 years ago.
Yeah. Well, what I remember is being in the newsroom at the Tennessean, and obviously this time of year is, a little bit slower.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't even remember like what I was working on or anything. I mean, I think, it's just that in between time, but I think it was Kevin Allen, I think, who broke it. If I remember correctly, of course, you worked for USA Today. But either way, we got word from Kevin Allen that this was happening. It was like, wait, what? And it was really, that's like, really? My initial thought after the shock was, I kind of like that, but at the same time, Shea Weber is such an all-time great and favorite here. It was a really interesting time period of mixed emotions. And you tell me, we did that day go talk to, we had Laviolette and Poyle, right?
I think that day was definitely we were on the call with Subban, because I remember the call like it was a disaster to start with, because you had like this French radio station in Montreal that couldn't turn something off. So like their broadcast was just screaming out over the call. And eventually the call just got shut down, and it was everybody in the room. I can't remember if it was Poyle and Laviolette that day or not, but I think now that I think about it, you're right that it was.
Yeah, it was pre-Zoom. We had to do those conference calls. So yeah, the initial shock and then like, again, that was one of those things where I'd been here a couple months. So like for me, I remember I wrote a column in the Tennessee, and it was like, I like this move basically, but the reaction was very mixed. And a lot of it was just emotion for Shea Weber that you that like as a newcomer, you don't really understand it as well, right? I mean, you had to know that because had been a great player for a long time, but then that's when you really figured it out. Another thing for me was like in a brief period of covering that team, the last time out, he was bad. He was bad in that game 7. But I mean, obviously,
his worst game as a Predator was the last game he ever played. Yeah, which was pretty unbelievable. Still, my most underrated / favorite part of this story was the Predators actually that day when they made the trade had a development camp practice, and I've tried to talk about this to Fabro a couple of times, and I don't think he quite remembers it the same way, but I promise you this happened because I would not forget it. They had a development camp practice that day, and Fabro was just a first-round pick of the Predators. I put up this big story on NHL.com about Fabro and how much he looked up to Shea Weber and how much he was looking forward to playing with him one day. And it was on NHL.com for about, I think, 35 minutes. And then that got taken down pretty quickly. Like, well, he's not going to be playing with him anymore.
So did it ever, like, did it ever go back up, like, without the Shea Weber stuff in it?
No, I mean, it was all about Fabro and Weber.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Probably my most well-written story ever of all time, Joe. It was up for 30 minutes.
Every word was complete magic, and there it goes.
It's like Bill Shakespeare reincarnated. You're just totally gone.
That thing would have been on Broadway in about a year, but they pulled it off the internet, man.
Yeah, just really unfortunate on that day. So the 6-year anniversary of the Shea Weber PK Subban trade. Lots has happened since then. Shea Weber, by the way, I don't think we've even talked about this because obviously it doesn't look like he's going to play. But Shea Weber did get traded. He's no longer with the Montreal Canadiens. He got traded to Vegas. So he's now property of the Vegas Golden Knights. I doubt we'll ever see him on the ice with the Vegas Golden Knights, but that has taken place. And by the way, underrated part of this, PK Subban is a free agent coming up this summer. So I'm interested to see what happens there. I mean, he was making $9 million a year. He's not going to approach that this time around. He's more of a kind of a really on a good team would probably be a third pair defenseman. So I'm interested to see what happens with him this summer as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. He's got a foot in on the TV side, and I think he's going to do that and be very good at that for a long time. And I mean, honestly, probably make more money doing that, right? I mean, probably make more money right now doing that.
Probably.
I mean, potentially, like, what's he going to get paid? He's going to get $2-3 million.
Yeah, I was about to say he might get a couple million out of somebody, 2.5, maybe.
So, it's kind of an interesting choice for him. I mean, we've even talked about, like in the NFL, you're seeing some of this TV money is outrageous, Yeah. If you're not a great player making big money, but you're prominent enough to get a job like that, it's the better choice. I assume he's going to continue to take, play a little bit longer here.
Well, I think he said he wants to keep playing. So I'm interested to see like what his next deal looks like. Is he going to be a 1-year deal? Is he going to go 2 or 3 year deal? And what's the market look like for PK Subban? That's going to be really interesting to see. Like everybody wants to always break down like who won the trade. Like the Predators in the immediacy of it, I think probably won the trade. They go to the Cup final, and then people forget Subban was awesome in 2018, the year they won the President's Trophy. He was a Norris Trophy finalist that year. He was a great player for the Predators. And then eventually, of course, last year, Shea Weber leads Montreal to a Cup final as well. So, I mean, it worked out pretty well for both sides, but everybody's always got to determine who the winner was.
Well, yeah, it was great to see what happened last year with Shea Weber and everything. It's incredible that he even, when you found out all the stuff that he was going through, that he was even able to do what he did. But yeah, I mean, if you have to declare a winner here, I think it's definitely Nashville. And Montreal. I mean, Montreal was in a bad spot in the short term after the deal, not necessarily because of the deal, but they were not a good team. And I think Subban was a huge part of those first 2 years. I think he was central in a lot of that stuff. Specifically the way he played in that 17 run with Ekholm. I mean, that was their shutdown pairing, and they were fantastic and just big time plays, offensively too. Like you said, he was great the whole next year. So I think those 2 years would have to give the W to Nashville.
So the 6-year anniversary of the Weber and Subban trade. Joe, we spent all show yesterday discussing Philip Forsberg and the report from Daily Faceoff and Frank Saravalli that apparently Forsberg was asking for significantly less than Roman Josi, and Frank Saravalli threw out the term in the low 8s in terms of his annual average value per year for the Predators. Jared Stillman came out yesterday on his show and said that he has heard that report is not true and that it is more than the low 8s that Philip Forsberg has been asking for, but also said that apparently no movement or trade protection is not a concern at this point with Philip Forsberg and the contract negotiation. So obviously some conflicting information there. What do you make of the report that Jared Stillman came out with yesterday on his program?
I don't know. I'm more confused by everything now. Like I said yesterday on Jared versus Joe, he asked me for a reaction. I said, well, good job, getting information. And I said, look, like, I'm not asking who your source is, but this reads to me from the outside like for the Forsberg side said it's this, and now someone on the Predator side said, no, that's not true. Obviously it doesn't look good for them. Doesn't look good for Poile, right? For that to be the case. But then Jared sort of said, basically Jared was like, well, you know how Poile feels about me. It's not Poile. And I was like, I didn't think it was Poile telling you this, but like there's other people in the organization, right?
Yes.
But then he sort of cast doubt on this coming from the organization. I mean, to me, there's two sides here, right? I mean, it's pretty simple. So I don't know what to think. Again, good job getting some information. I have no doubt that like Jared isn't just talking to like someone, in the drive-through and going with it. So, I mean, I think that there's legitimacy to someone saying that. This is where you get into anonymous sourcing and how, you can fill in a little bit of a gap. You can leave a lot of gaps still. And also, I will say that if it really isn't true, if it's not just someone telling Jared that because they don't want it to be discussed as true, if it really isn't true, then I got to wonder what Saravalli's doing. Like that's not something you heard somewhere and throw out, right? If you're him, that would be surprising and disappointing if he didn't have that solidly before he said it into the world. No matter where you are anymore, you're in a pro sports league, on any podcast, any little interview or whatever, you throw something out, it's going to find big circulation.
Yep, no question about it. We'll continue the discussion on the Philip Forsberg situation. Welcome more of your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. That's coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Let's put the green flag in the air and turn them loose.
Nashville's home for NASCAR.
He's going to try to make a big move here.
It's brought to you by the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. We are your racing station.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Dan Abrams and Ashley Banfield are now back-to-back on News Nation. Get the news without the bias. Weeknights starting at 9/8 Central on America's fastest-growing cable news network, News Nation.
The
The clock is ticking on Genesis Diamond's amazing finance offer. You have until 5 p.m. Saturday to take advantage of the hottest offer of the summer. 5 years, zero interest financing on practically everything in our showcases. Get in now and splurge. Maybe treat yourself. How about a stunning $12,000 designer ring, complete with a GIA diamond for just $200 a month? It's the smartest, easiest, and best way to buy. Nothing down and no interest for 5 years. But hurry, this incredible offer ends Saturday and will not be extended. Only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit.
Erectile dysfunction ruins sex, but it's more than that. It harms otherwise good relationships. It destroys marriages. It can cause depression and anxiety, and it can be extremely hard on a man's self-esteem. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if you're suffering with ED, if it's affecting you, I want you to know that if you're like most men, we can treat it and get you back to the man you used to be. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we're ED experts. Our protocols have success rates as high as 90%. We've successfully treated thousands of men in the Music City, and we have a variety of treatment options and treatment combinations that could have you performing like you haven't in years. You could even last up to an hour and experience great sex again that is satisfying for both you and your partner. In treating your health, expertise matters, so make an appointment today. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
As in all human conflict, adults fight and children suffer. Today, 7.5 million children in Ukraine need to find water and shelter. They need safety in school. They need a place to sleep and comfort in the dark. Show them the world cares. Support UNICEF on the ground in Ukraine. We won't stop until every child is safe. UNICEFUSA.org/action.
We here at 102.5 and 106.3 The Game are looking for our next great executive producer. Hey, it's Chase McCabe, the program director. If you think that's you and you think that you have the experience, the drive, and of course you share that love of sports, send your resume and cover letter to together@cromwellmedia.com.
Welcome to Allstate, where saving on your auto insurance is kind of like a joyride. You, your car, and an open Tennessee road. Maybe your best friend, too. The music is chill, and so is the traffic. You and your friend both look over at each other, and then he puts his head back out the window. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Allstate and affiliates offer products and services subject to availability, terms, and conditions.
Well, you've got the whole world listening. What do you got to say? Never miss a moment of the show. Subscribe to the Robby and Rexrode podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Discussing the Philip Forsberg contract situation. Jared Stillman putting it out there yesterday that he has heard that Frank Zaravali's report of Forsberg's camp asking for the low eights is not true, and that apparently trade protection not an issue in the Forsberg contract negotiations as well. I guess there's a couple of different ways, and I heard them talking about this yesterday, Joe, to read into the trade protection thing. You know, is it not an issue because they hadn't got to it yet? Or is it not an issue because that part of it has already been figured out? Like, that would be what I would be interested to know, because, you know, we talked about this a few weeks ago after David Poyle's comments about, you know, the contract situation and the money part of it at the end of season press conference. You know, he did talk about then, you know, you figure out the money and then you figure out the other parts of this after that. Like, I'd be interested to know, like, is trade protection, according to Stillman's report, is it not a problem because they've already got that part locked away, or have they not even gotten to that yet in terms of the negotiation?
Yeah, well, when I heard Jared talking about this yesterday, early on their show, I actually texted him that question. I was like, "Are you sure this isn't semantics? Like, because and frankly, that's how Poyle kind of framed it before, right? Which is, it's money. Then you start dealing with the trade protection stuff. But Jared seemed to think that no, they've got it figured out. So that'll be interesting if that's the case. What they have figured out, right? Like what is it? I mean, I'd be surprised if Forsberg's cool with none. I would think there'd be at least some kind of a partial NMC in there, but we'll see on that. And again, it's just like Jared. I mean, the thing is, I went up to 88%, right, on Forsberg yesterday.
Yeah.
Very, very precise, accurate number. If Jared's counter report here is true, actually, I guess in a way you could go down a little bit, because the reason that I went up to 88 is like, okay, well, if it's that low, then of course David Poyle is going to do that, right? But I still feel like this is trending toward that they're going to get it figured out wherever they end up landing.
It's interesting to see kind of how the national media and the outside world views this conversation and this discussion. Like I came across a top 30 free agent list last night from Sporting News, and no surprise, Johnny Gaudreau's at number 1. They have Patrice Bergeron at number 2, who will be reportedly re-signing with the Bruins, and Forsberg is at 3. And here was the little blurb on Forsberg from Sporting News. Quote, a dynamic offensive winger, Forsberg had his best season to date this year with 42 goals and 42 assists in 69 games. The 27-year-old looks like he'll be signing elsewhere after taking a long lap around Bridgestone Arena when Nashville was eliminated in the first round. That was the blurb on Forsberg. So there are a lot of people out there. Like I saw some Flames writers yesterday talking about if Gaudreau leaves, how realistic is Forsberg an option for the Flames? Like there are a lot of people that aren't necessarily local and quite frankly aren't necessarily reporting anything either that expect him to be on the move. And I've heard a lot of people cite the lap at Bridgestone. Like I know Preds fans made a huge deal of that. The day that the Predators got swept and were like, oh my gosh, he's gone. He took a lap, and he addressed that week in his, exit interview and, downplayed it. It kind of seemed like the question to him was a little strange, but maybe it was. I don't know. Like if he ends up leaving, everybody's going to look back at that lap and be like, well, he was trying to tell us at the time. But there's a lot of people, especially up in Canada, that are looking at that final lap at Bridgestone like, oh yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is, like you said, it's people compiling lists, and there's a little snippet of information here or there, and a lot was made of that. And look, I mean, it wasn't nothing. It was interesting. It was like, that's a little bit of a linger. Now, of course, if you compare his lap to Pekka Rinne's farewell, for example, it was a little different. It was nothing like that, but yeah, I think it's largely just people who are kind of, compiling these lists and like, okay, what do we know about this? All right, yeah, it looks like he's leaving, without actually really following it closely. I mean, the people who are following it closely, who cover the league, I think have a little bit different, although maybe some of them also feel like he's ultimately going to leave, still don't have the same reporting that it's just basically a done deal, but it is. And then here it seems like it's kind of swung back to, I mean, this is going to happen. Well, the Saravalli thing, I mean, again, it creates a bunch of stuff to discuss, but it's also like frustrating. Snippet here, snippet there, and still not really knowing where things are.
But all this stuff to me, Joe, signals, it just kind of reaffirms where we are in this. Like it's getting down to crunch time when you start to hear stuff like this come out and Saravalli's report. I still I'm not saying that Saravalli was wrong. I'm certainly not saying that Jared is wrong, because I believe both of them have good sources and both of them do their homework and talk to people. Like right now, this kind of sounds to me like Forsberg's side is saying one thing and the Predators side is kind of saying another thing at this point. So like it just kind of signals to me where we are in the negotiation. It's Wednesday, June 29th, and free agency begins in 2 weeks from tomorrow. So it's crunch time in this thing, and you're going to see some movement, I think, pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And like you said, well, with the draft, it feels like we're right in that week range, right? Yep. Where really it would be good for the Preds to know what the situation is. Raymond and Franklin on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com says same source that said Rogers was signing with the Titans. LOL, smiley face. So now you put me in a position defending Jared, but I will defend Jared. He did not report Rogers was signing with the Titans. He reported he was building a house here, which was accurate.
He did report that he was open to signing with the Titans.
That's true. There was an open to signing, which I kind of agree with AJ Hawk's take on that. Like, okay, like he's open to whatever, but still there was news that he was building a house here. Interpret that however you want. I mean, there's also news. Michael Gallagher reported that Barry Trotz bought a house here. Another one, I guess.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he could be hanging out in Williamson County right now.
He could be.
We don't know.
Yeah, and he may like the Titans too. Yeah. He may be really excited about the Titans coming to Lambeau this year, But again, bottom line is like Jared. We have our fun with Jared, but let's be accurate here. This is the game of telephone. I don't know if Raymond and Franklin actually thought Jared reported that Rogers was signing with the Titans. Maybe he's just making a joke, and that's fine.
I think he is.
But I think that there are people who like that. That's how these things go sometimes, right? Is they twist it up. And I mean, I've heard that something like that quite a bit whenever Jared does something like this. So I thank you. I'll just sit here and defend him.
You two have just gotten real cozy after Jared versus Joe. A lot of defending going on. It's a brotherhood.
Okay, Raymond does. Yes, thank you. Yeah, Raymond says, correct, just busting Jared's. It has a little basketball emoji. All right, Raymond, I'm sorry. It's a little early for me, so I can't detect sarcasm, all right?
Coming up next, we had an awesome interview with Darren McCarty, Detroit Red Wings. Is legend the right word? I'll throw it out there. Legend.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
Okay. Detroit Red Wings legend, 4-time Stanley Cup champion, about a great documentary on ESPN E60's Unrivaled between the Red Wings and the Colorado Avalanche of the mid-90s and early 2000s as well. You'll check out that interview coming up next. It was awesome to have Darren McCarty on the show. We'll get to that on the other side. This is Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
If you're on the road between downtown Nashville,
they're still in good shape to make the playoffs,
and I-840.
Players make it clear they don't want to be somewhere anymore.
There's a new way to hear all your favorite shows and sports programming on 102.5 The Game.
I go back to that play and I shake my head.
What I was worried about is that they were still just going to keep the goal.
It's 106.3 FM.
Think about all the good Titans teams. This is very much so a run-first offense.
Now you have two choices to hear Nashville's best sports talk. Check out 106.3 now and add it as a favorite.
Dan Abrams and Ashley Banfield are now back-to-back on News Nation. Get the news without the bias. Weeknights starting at 9/8 Central on America's fastest-growing cable news network, News Nation.
Nothing makes one feel better than the ability to give to someone in need. You have the power to give the most important gift of all, the gift of life, with a donation of your blood. Supplies are desperately low in our area, and your help is needed. Blood Assurance is a nonprofit community blood center that supplies our Middle Tennessee area hospitals. Please find it in your heart to donate. Be someone's hero today. Go to bloodassurance.org to find a location or blood drive near you. That's bloodassurance.org. Give blood, give local, save lives with Blood Assurance.
Hello, Nashville. Looking to save money on your wireless bill? You can when you choose Consumer Cellular. Sign up today and you'll get the exact same coverage as the leading carriers for half the cost. This gives you direct access to the widest, most established cellular networks available. Consumer Cellular offers flexible monthly plans with no contract and simple, affordable service that's perfect for your lifestyle and budget. Featuring a wide variety of top-of-the-line phones from Samsung, Motorola, and Apple, you'll find a phone that's perfect for you. Everything is backed by a 100% risk-free guarantee, plus 100% U.S.-based award-winning customer support. Switch your talk, text, and data plan before July 31st and get $100 on every new line of service. Right-size your plan and downsize your bill with Consumer Cellular. Visit consumercellular.com/Nashville100 and enter code Nashville100 to start saving today.
Hey, this is Sean Ford, Director of Sales for ESPN 1025 The Game. I'm looking for talented salespeople to add to our dynamic and growing team. If you're an experienced seller who's looking for a new adventure and a career path that offers more excitement and new opportunities, you may want to listen up. First of all, if you're hearing this message, you're probably already a fan of The Game. We have a long list of local businesses who are fans too and love what we do to help them grow. You might be someone who could be a part of that experience. Are you comfortable meeting strangers and earning their trust? Do you enjoy working in a team environment, but self-motivated to set and achieve your own personal goals? Are you a creative person who loves to share your ideas with others? Do you thrive on making a difference in your community? If the answers to all those questions was yes, then we should talk. Send your resume and cover letter to together@cromwellmedia.com. That's together@cromwellmedia.com. Let's see if we're a good match. Cromwell Media is an equal opportunity employer.
7.5 million children in Ukraine need to find water and shelter. They need a place to sleep and comfort in the dark. Show them the world cares. Support UNICEF, unicefusa.org/action.
Your home for Hit City is 94.9 The Fan.
Your Nashville Sounds continue their series at First Horizon Park against the Indianapolis Indians.
Swing and a miss, strike three. Sounds win.
Coverage begins at 6:50.
On your home for Sounds Baseball, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey, this is Jordan Rogers, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We caught up with Detroit Red Wings legend Darren McCarty yesterday. It was an awesome interview talking about the new E60 documentary, Unrivaled, highlighting the rivalry between the Detroit Red Wings and the Colorado Avalanche in the early to late 90s and the early 2000s, or excuse me, the early to late 90s, the mid to late 90s and the early 2000s. This documentary is awesome. It's been all over ESPN the last few days. Here was that interview yesterday with Detroit Red Wings legend Darren McCarty.
E60's Unrivaled, highlighting the rivalry between the Red Wings and the Colorado Avalanche in the mid-90s, late 90s, and early 2000s as well. And to help us talk more about that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in four-time Stanley Cup champion.
So we'll get to that coming up. Moment for you here on the program, having Darren McCarty on the show. So hopefully we could get to this interview here in just a few minutes, but it was awesome to have him on the show. An awesome documentary. And I've even had people that listened to the show yesterday that said that they checked out the documentary and they are just loving it. Like they weren't even a big hockey fan, and they went back and watched the E60, and that it has like changed their perspective on the sport as a whole. I was like, well, that's great. I'm glad you enjoy it. I don't think the sport's ever going back to what it was at that time.
Yeah. That was a different era, of course. Another part about it that I loved was the part where, I guess it was when it was after the Lemieux hit on Draper, or I think so. It was in the aftermath of that. At one point, he walks by Gary Bettman, and Bettman is like, disgusted with him sitting in the stands.
Yeah.
But it's really well done. And I do think it has appeal beyond Detroit and Colorado fans.
Okay. So Michelle, are you saying that we've got this working?
Yes, it is working, guys, but we're having a little audio issues. So you guys can't hear it, but everybody else will be able to.
Okay, cool. So we will set that up again now. Here was that interview from yesterday with Detroit Red Wings legend Darren McCarty.
Hey, fellas, morning, Robby, morning, Joe. Nice to talk to you guys down. How's the weather down where you guys are?
I tell you what, it's pretty nice down here. It's been about 100 degrees for 2 weeks in a row. In the last couple of days, it's been in the mid-80s, so it's feeling good down here, Darren. Not bad.
Yeah, we're a couple degrees lower here, but we've felt that heat wave too. So good time to talk about something cold, and the documentary Unrivaled. What can I say? I thought it was awesome. Obviously, I'm a little biased, maybe because people might have got tired of seeing my face, but I thought ESPN. I thought Mike Farrell, who produced it, and what they did, the due diligence, and the guys that they got to talk. 25 years later, it really puts some things into perspective.
So Darren, let's just start there. What's it been like for you, kind of reliving this rivalry between the Red Wings and the Avalanche? And for our listeners that may not have been aware of that rivalry, or maybe weren't even alive at the time where it was taking place, how do you put into words what it was like back in the day between Colorado and Detroit?
It was truly. From every fan base, and the unique thing is you learn through this. It wasn't just because usually in the media you have to be unbiased, and then doesn't matter what team's media. Very rarely do you have pure hatred, but early on it was really us against them, all the way through the city, through the the newspapers, through each team. And the bottom line with the rivalry is, the hit on Chris Draper really sparked it, but the fact that you had two of the best teams, two of the top teams, two teams that, at the end of it all will probably have close to 20 Hall of Famers that played in this, and it was just because it was the best of the best, and you hated each other. So it was literally as personal as you get. I think you can't, it's tough to correlate these days because tough to get a rivalry. It's tough to get so personal in sports these days because not only do players, with social media, but with growing up, they all know each other, play each other. Well, we really didn't. We were sort of the end of that era where you really didn't know your opponent that well. That sort of came as you were a pro. But there was hatred. There still is some bad blood. But at the end of the day, it was unbelievable. Like, I always put it up there growing up with you'd always see the Steelers and the Cowboys and the Cowboys and the 49ers and stuff like that. To me, it was rivalries like that where there was true hatred through the fan base.
No, it was amazing. I can, as someone who grew up a Red Wings fan, it was watching that. I watched it last night, Darren. I mean, the emotion came back up. A lot of things I had forgotten about too, but it's hard to. You can't just manufacture something like this. Like you said, it was the personal nature. It was the awful play by Lemieux, and how he didn't. And I got to tell you, I got pissed all over again when he never apologized, and he still never has.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
No. So here's the whole thing, right? Is that because I tell everybody, and when I do my slapstick comedy tour, whenever I talk about this, it's so apparent because in life and in sports, bad things will happen, but you cannot lose respect for a fellow human being, right? And to go through that again, because this is 25 years later, and it's well documented that Claude Lemieux and I now have become friends off the ice, by doing charity signings. If he signs that picture of me punching his head in for charity and stuff, but I've gotten to know the man. But to watch this documentary again, it rekindled everything to go that I'm right. I was right to have the utmost hatred and want that revenge on him that he had it coming because of the way it acted. And I think in a lot of ways, it goes to show you that people can change or can grow or can learn from some mistakes. One of the things I tell people is, the fact that I stayed in the game and the fact that the play in there, this is the sort of the eye for an eye is, you see in the brawl where I try to slam his head into the boards and don't get him, but I literally throw the biggest knee I could. I mean, that was a KO knee, UFC MMA knee that the referee didn't see. And I bring this up because to this day, Claude Lemieux has a welt on his head that he wakes up every morning because I've felt it. And that's to remind him, not to be disrespectful or not to be stupid. And I think with the rivalry and everything, it shows a lot of growth, and it shows a lot of the passion that both teams had, and it shows the greatness that was there. So not just that on our end, you know, you have the Konstantinov story, and people that I think that what I take away from it is not only, yes, the fact that Vladimir Konstantinov in the limousine accident along with Sergei Manatsakanov were affected, and the fact that I remember being at the hospital and not knowing if your teammate was going to live or not, to watching the end of the video where Vladimir Konstantinov's getting interviewed and answering in 2 different languages and comprehending, which I guess makes my heart grow a little bit to see that all the work and help's been put into him, that there is a better way of life. And to see Vladdy the time now, he recognizes all of us. He knows all of us. We all have our own way, you know, have a conversation with him and stuff. So I just think that that's, you know, a little bit of a nice little bow after all these years to know that, and I think it's important. And you know, I wouldn't want to play Uno against Vladdy, that's for sure.
Yeah, apparently he cheats a little bit, so that was
no. But you know what? But listen, you knew what kind of player he was. He played on the edge. He played Uno on the edge, like he played hockey on the edge.
No, that wasn't. I mean, that whole thing was amazing to see that, to see him do those interviews, and that was, you know, I mean, there's a lot to this. Obviously, as you know, you lived it, Darren. But I do on the question of Claude, because you in this documentary, you guys are together, as you said, you've done things together, you're friends, you answered questions in front of a big crowd, and I thought that was all cool. But I didn't get the sense from Draper that there's any resolution here. So I assume I assume you've talked to Claude. Like, why can't he bury the hatchet on this thing?
That's a question for Chris Draper. And I think that here's the thing in life's journey, and people ask me, you know, well, what do you do? And Drapes ever talk about it? And, you know, the only thing Drapes has ever said is, I need to do what I need to do for me. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I guess this goes to, and it's not like I'm calling Claude and we're buddies. It's just that I have a respect for him, and I think that the man off the ice is different than the player on the ice, and it took a while to do that. Now, Chris Draper is the one that can feel any which way that he wants, and that's between them. I think that in life, it goes to show you that sometimes, you know, why are you friends with somebody that somebody else isn't friends with? They don't understand. Well, maybe that's not part of their journey. And I believe in when Drapes, and this is the way Drapes is he's busy. He doesn't have time, and you know what? For whatever reason, I don't know. That's a conversation you need to have with those 2 gentlemen. For me, in my journey, and being 6.5 years in recovery, and you know, my story is a lot about falling down and getting back up. But if I got to this point with Claude, I had to sit down, and you can go to Darren McCarty's YouTube and watch the full interview that we did, just so people understand it's how I got to a place of forgiveness. But don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted, Robby and Joe. I say the same thing. If you're on the ice today with Claude and me and you turn your back, you are an idiot. But off the ice, you can turn your back because I will turn mine. And I think that's just look at all the stuff in this life that's going on that everybody has to deal with. So if this, you know, shows a different way of, you know, lesson learned, and some people like it, some people won't. But that's because you know what, when I guess when somebody puts you through that much trauma, I wouldn't be able to, and it took so long to apologize, whatever. I'd have a hard time dealing with it that way. But that wasn't my role.
Darren McCarty on with us here on Robby and Rexrode. And Darren, there's so much to this documentary. We could talk to you for an hour here, but one of the things it did bring back for me was, and I'm sure you've been asked this 1,000 times, your goal in Game 4 of the '97 Cup Final against Philadelphia. Just a beautiful goal. What do you remember about that, and what do you remember just from the reaction of your teammates to a huge goal in the '97 Cup Final?
Oh, guys, I beat one guy one-on-one my whole career. This includes practice, right? So it's all about timing, right? Like, you don't have to be a Hall of Famer when you can have Hall of Fame moments. And the fact is that, listen, the boys tell it, because Scotty had a rule. The puck gets out at our blue line and at theirs and whatever like that. Darren McCarty took the puck, knew it was a line change by Philly and stuff, was going to the line. I probably heard the guys on the bench yelling, dump it in. I was planning on dumping it in, but I fiddled it and whatever else. Next thing I know, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got Needham a beat, and the corner of my eye, I see this little speck of orange, and I pull it to the front, and around Hextown, I'm about like 2 feet from the net, and I tell everybody, you know why I scored? Because I said, please don't miss the net, and I put it in, and I did a couple pirouettes in the corner, and you wanted to know reaction. The first guy I lock eyes on, Steve Eiserman, right? The same guy who drafted in 83 for Darren McCarty, was 10 years old. Watch this guy be the messiah for this organization, who's looking at me with eyes the size of dinner saucers, going, what the F was that? and me going, oh, I don't know. And him saying, well, at least you don't have to do it again. And just like, remember this, Red Wing Nation, hashtag Wiser plan, 99.9% of the time, Stevie's right. And that's, I preface that with, because I'm sure in the next few days we're going to hear about who the new coach is, and whoever it is, it's the right decision. But I always caveat that, because Eric Lindros gets my first Christmas card every year, because my goal made it 2-0, and he scored with like 15 seconds left.
That's right.
To make my goal the Stanley Cup clinching goal. And
that's right.
The fact that I was on the ice for the final buzzer too, just, cap. People ask me what's my favorite comp or my favorite whatever. That 96-97 season, if I could go back and they did the ESPN like they do the playoffs and cover everything for that season. That season was really, really special.
Well, another goal from that season that I'll never forget is the game winner in overtime on a date you guys talked about a lot, March 26, 1997, to beat Colorado. I mean, so many things about that night I think were so important. So my question for you, Darren, had that night not happened the way it did, would you guys have done the same things you did in winning these cups?
Well, that's the most important goal, only because I can't give it back. But if you guarantee somebody else on our team scored it, I get the revenge, we win the game, I think we still go. The bottom line, you heard it. There's a Russian 5 documentary out there where, Shanny says it all the time. We don't talk, but we think the same way, because we had to win the game. Because of the psychology of, they owned us. I mean, there's a great clip of Keith Jones skating off the ice in one of the games with that little Keith Jones smirk on his face that you just want to rub off, like these guys got no chance. And at that point, so it just adds to the legend and the lore that the greatest screenwriter in the history of the world, God, wrote that script. That's why it worked out. But that goal is so more important than anything else. Because just like history, you needed the continuity to flow through. So we had, as long as the Lemieux butt kicking happened, we got the payback, and we had to win the game. So whatever way we won the game, if we didn't win that game, the revenge would have been good. But I don't think psychologically we would have had that advantage going into the conference finals that year.
Well, the documentary is called Unrivaled. It's an E60 special. You can check it out on ESPN. Darren, we appreciate so much your time this morning. It's been great catching up with you, and we'll talk to you down the road.
You got it, guys. Thanks a lot, Joe. Thanks, Robby. Thanks for everybody in the Nashville area and stuff like that. We'll see you down the road.
Absolutely. Darren McCarty, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737.
That was Darren McCarty, Red Wings legend, and popular subject of the Unrivaled documentary on ESPN. Just a great documentary if you haven't checked it out. I know some of you were asking for the name of it on the text line as well. Unrivaled on ESPN. Coming up next, we'll get Joe's reaction to a part of the Stanley Cup championship for the Avs that has been very questionable over the last couple of days. We'll get to that coming up on the other side. This baseball season, swing for the fences with FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with promo code ROB to get in on the action. FanDuel lets you bet the money line, home run props, strikeout totals, and so much more. Plus, you can combine your bets for an even bigger payday with the same game parlay. The Braves have been red hot as of late, but you can take that if you want to take it. I'm going with the Yankees. They've been the best team in baseball all season long, but you take it any way you want to take it. You can have the home run hitter, the pitcher over on strikeouts, players to get a hit, whatever way you want to do it. That's available for you on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Just join now with promo code ROB and turn a $5 bet into $200 in free bets, win or lose, exclusively on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets. It expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline at 1-800-889-9789.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Another pleasant start this morning with temperatures in the 50s and 60s. But today, we're heating back up. High of 94, heat index upper 90s.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
The clock is ticking on Genesis Diamond's amazing finance offer. You have until 5 p.m. Saturday to take advantage of the hottest offer of the summer. 5 years, zero interest financing on practically everything in our showcases. Get in now and splurge. Maybe treat yourself. How about a stunning $12,000 designer ring, complete with a GIA diamond for just $200 a month? It's the smartest, easiest, and best way to buy. Nothing down and no interest for 5 years. But hurry, this incredible offer ends Saturday and will not be extended. Only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit.
Golfers, it's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the Callaway Trade-In Trade-Up event happening now through July 4th. Bring in any of your old clubs and receive a 50% trade-in bonus towards new Rogue ST Woods and Irons and Apex Irons. Both the Rogue and Apex families are designed with artificial intelligence for faster ball speeds. Swing by Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get your 50% bonus trade-in on Callaway Rogue, ST, and Apex Irons today. And while you're there, get custom fit for free. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
Okay, import footage. How is the hard drive already full?
Jawan's Pilates studio converted to entirely virtual classes. But leading and editing sessions is stretching her too thin.
It says render failed. What'd I do?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by conducting interviews on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Darren McFarland.
That's the most personality I think I've heard.
Willie Donick.
Give me credit. I said it.
Chase McCabe.
I still talk to people outside of this building.
The DDC. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezvik, intern Hanley here with you on this Wednesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. We're taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Thanks to Darren McCarty for joining us. What a great interview that was. A lot of energy with Darren McCarty. That has always been the case. We appreciate him taking the time to join us. Right now, taking your thoughts, 615-737-1025. It's been an interesting week on the championship front for the Colorado Avalanche. First off, the denting of the Stanley Cup about 35 minutes after they won it was pretty incredible. Falling down to the ice, there's a big dent in the Stanley Cup that they're having to deal with in the immediate aftermath of it. But, Joe, there has been kind of an interesting, I guess, run of tweets that have taken place with Avs media after the cup has been won. We had Mike Chambers tweeting out pictures of the Stanley Cup where he's lifting it up in the locker room after the Avs win the cup. Mark Kisla, another beat writer for the Denver Post, tweeting out about how he tried to give like a player a hug after winning the Stanley Cup. it's been quite the interesting week for Avs media that has caught your attention for sure. Rexrode can't get off mute.
Hey, for a fourth attempt to unmute myself after deciding to show up midway through a segment. This could be a Rex rant. Should I have done this for the Rex rant? I don't know.
I'm cool with two Rex rants in one day.
Well, it's probably a little bit less than a rant because I want to be, understanding. You brought this up the other day, and I agree. Like, had the Preds won a championship, like I've been around teams that have won big things, and they're like, if you're around them, someone's liable to come up to you and be like, hey, and hug you. I mean, Tom Izzo's wife, Lupe Izzo, hugged me after they won the national championship on the floors in the nets. What am I going to do? Right. Am I going to get away from me? Yeah. I am trying to report on this, she was hugging everyone. What do you do? Right. So, okay. So if someone took a picture of that in that moment, well, and if it was, of course, this was like way back before social media, but
yes,
this is the year 2000. But that could have been used against me over and over again. So I want to be understanding of it because in the moment it's so celebratory. It's hard to not be somewhat involved in something. But yeah, like the whole lifting the cup over your head like you want it. Might be a little much. The Kisla tweet. You shouldn't. I don't think you should seek out hugging people. If they hug you, if you're the huggy, I think you're okay. Of course, this is self-serving, right? If you're the huggy, but if you're the hugger, you're seeking out people to hug them to celebrate their championship. Yeah, it's a little strange. I mean, it is. There's been some Homer Preds media allegations levied over the years, and I do believe that if the Preds won the Stanley Cup, that the folks covering the Preds would not prance around and pretend like they won the Stanley Cup. Maybe I'm wrong.
I would hope not. No, look, again, I try to be understanding in this too. Like, I don't know, in 2017, if the Preds won the cup and Johansson's goofy self was hobbling around the locker room at that time, I'm sure he probably would have said something to one of us and something would have happened. But so I don't want to be a wet sock about this. I'm not going to sit there if somebody's approaching me with a Stanley Cup and is like, here, oh my gosh, just take it. I'm not just going to be stay away from me, you creep. Right. So I leave some room for that to be a part of this, but I'll just say, I'll leave it this. Avs media seems to be very happy this week. Very happy.
Yeah. And whatever Dater said something about he was putting a hex on, I don't know.
On the Lightning.
Yeah. But the Chambers thing, see, that's the thing. If it's sort of trying to be funny picture, then fine, but it doesn't look like that. It looks like someone who is celebrating as if they had just been part of a Stanley Cup winning run.
Yeah. Chris on the text line says Justin Bradford would totally try to lift the cup. Just saying.
Well, Justin Bradford would bring his mighty drunks
Stanley keg.
Yeah, the Stanley keg, and try to compare it, and try to show that it's actually the better trophy.
Yeah. I'm interested to get PK's take on this coming up at 8:00. Paul Kaharski.
Yes. I mean, Kaharski, actually, I need the Titans to win a Super Bowl so I can see Kaharski running taking his shirt off, hugging everybody. That would happen.
Oh yeah, sure he'd be all up for that. We'll take your thoughts. 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Some news in the NFL. A very prominent wide receiver signing a huge deal yesterday that has me kind of scratching my head a little bit about A.J. Brown and the Titans. We'll get to that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay.
Everything is not okay.
Download the Game Nashville app or go to thegamenashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3. The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture eats strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with 3-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
312 Pizza Company is Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria, and they're now hiring. Work for a family-owned business and be a part of their incredible team. 312 Pizza Company is hiring for all positions, including host, waitstaff, bartenders, cooks, and more. 312 Pizza Company offers health insurance and paid time off to full-time employees. Contact Kimberly at 615-730-7888 or email at contact@312pizzaco.com. 312 is an equal opportunity employer.
Jump into the thrill at Bally's Evansville Casino. Play to win with lots of slots and live and electronic cable games. Visit the High Limit Room for an elevated experience. Take a break with a cold tap house brew or a snack at the deli. For more elegant dining, check out the flavors, river views, and music at Kavanaugh's. Enjoy a relaxing stay at the Bally's Hotel or the luxurious Legends Tower. Plan your casino getaway at Bally'sEvansville.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Hello, Nashville. Looking to save money on your wireless bill? You can when you choose Consumer Cellular. Sign up today and you'll get the exact same coverage as the leading carriers for half the cost. This gives you direct access to the widest, most established cellular networks available. Consumer Cellular offers flexible monthly plans with no contract and simple, affordable service that's perfect for your lifestyle and budget. Featuring a wide variety of top-of-the-line phones from Samsung, Motorola, and Apple, you'll find a phone that's perfect for you. Everything is backed by a 100% risk-free guarantee, plus 100% U.S.-based award-winning customer support. Switch your talk, text, and data plan before July 31st and get $100 on every new line of service. Right-size your plan and downsize your bill with Consumer Cellular. Visit consumercellular.com/Nashville100 and enter code Nashville100 to start saving today.
At Lowe's, every pro is an MVP to us. It doesn't matter how big or small your business is. If you're a plumber, roofer, electrician, or remodeler, your business earns back when you spend, gets exclusive offers, and paint rewards. It all adds up to help drive your business. Join Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards and Partnership Program today. Minimum purchase required. Earnings and paint rewards awarded as Lowe's e-gift cards. Exclusions, restrictions, and more terms apply. Valid through 12/31/22. See Lowe's.com/L/Pro Loyalty Terms. Subject to change. U.S. only.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
NASCAR is back. Kyle Larson returns to Nashville Speedway, a winner.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
The leading receiver.
Awesome game 7. Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Welcome back in. Hour number 2 of Robbie and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezevic, intern Hanley here with you on this Wednesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We'll have Paul Kaharski coming up at 8 o'clock with his thoughts on the Titans. Jim Diamond from the Associated Press at 9 o'clock for the latest on the Philip Forsberg situation and looking ahead to some free agency / maybe trade decisions the Predators could have this offseason as well. So looking forward to that at 9 o'clock. Joe, some news on the NFL front yesterday. Terry McLaurin signing a 3-year extension with the Washington Commanders. which is worth up to $71 million in new money that will place him in the top 5 in terms of NFL wide receiver and receivers and the monies that they're being paid. So Terry McLaurin signing an extension with the Washington Commanders. So we talked about this early in the offseason when it comes to those 3 guys of McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, and A.J. Brown. So now McLaurin has signed an extension with his team. Deebo Samuel still hanging around in San Francisco. Last time I checked, they've not been traded at this point, although there has been reporting that he has not rescinded the trade request as of yet. So still some work to be done on that front. And of course, we know the story with A.J. Brown. He has been traded by the Titans to the Philadelphia Eagles. So, I mean, it is what it is at this point. A.J. Brown is gone, and, Titans fans feel basically one way or the other. They've either talked themselves into that was the right move by the Titans, or they're still very upset by it that A.J. Brown is gone. What do you make of this situation with those 3, Joe Rexrode, given the fact that McLaurin has now signed an extension, Deebo Samuel is still a member of the San Francisco 49ers, and the Titans are the one team with those 3 guys that have moved on from their star wide receiver?
Trying to get me all riled up, huh?
Sure am.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that much. And again, it's just nothing. I don't feel any different than I did 2 months ago, or almost 2 months ago. You could have waited this out. I acknowledge that every single conversation or shred of information that the Titans have it's none of it. All of it will not be available to anyone else. So gotta acknowledge that. But what it comes down to is, can you figure something out? Can you create? Can you have a good environment? And is it worth it? To pay him? Look, maybe it will end proving that it wouldn't have been. But these situations elsewhere show you. I mean, something can look just terrible and irreconcilable, and it can be. It's business, and there are certain things in place that ultimately you got to deal with. And I think that A.J. Brown and the Titans would have figured it out. But
well, Joe, to that point, just real quickly, McLaurin, he did not show up to voluntary OTAs, and he skipped out on mandatory minicamp as well. So, I mean, it wasn't like it was smooth sailing. Hey, I'm going to be here. We're going to work out a contract.
Right.
He wasn't there.
Right. And look, I don't know, like McLaurin, I don't know about McLaurin's Twitter game, frankly. So, but people are making some of these admittedly silly tweets. And really, like, my biggest issue with A.J. Brown on Twitter is like all the stuff after this, like with the camp and everything. Like, just drop it. I'm the best receiver. Like, just drop it. But I don't know if that was a big thing with McLaurin, but that's a great point. I mean, it wasn't looking good. It was looking contentious. I mean, this has happened a million times in the NFL. And then ultimately, okay, how about this? Great. You come a little bit our way, we'll come a little bit your way. Here's the deal. This is why in Philadelphia finally decided they needed to go get someone who has demonstrated they can play in the NFL, because they have tried to invest so much draft capital in finding that guy, and it's hard to find those people. So that's where it is. I mean, it could have worked out. It didn't work out, and when these things play out, and I am going to predict that Deebo is going to be with the Niners this year, and they're going to figure that out too. When those things play out that way, I think it does make it look worse. And the big test, of course, is just going to be what the Titans are as a team, what Brown does with the Eagles. I mean, it's, like it or not, that's going to be a constant check-in this year.
Well, kind of a sidebar of this conversation, it is kind of amazing to me. Like, if you would have told me back in March that of these 3 guys, and more specifically of the 3 teams, the one to figure it out first and get the guy signed to an extension would be the Washington freaking Commanders out of the Niners and the Titans, I would have told you were nuts.
Yeah, well, maybe they needed, this is like their news dump. They needed like other they needed some other storyline to be out there.
Dan Snyder was just like, oh God, just sign him. I don't care what the money looks like.
But remember, he's not running things.
Yeah.
So, he has no involvement.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Yeah. So they needed some good news, and they got it. So there you go. And it's just it would have. I don't know exactly how it would have played out, but I think it could have been worked out. And
well, especially like if the Debo situation, if they get through this, because it's the one from the jump that looked the most contentious. I mean, he was the one on Instagram Live, and he was the one that came out and publicly made a trade request to the Niners. Like to me, if I'm a Titans fan and like Debo Samuel, you get through this whole offseason with San Francisco and they're able to patch things up and work things out, and he's a member of the 49ers moving forward. Like if I'm a Titans fan, I'm looking around and saying, man, y'all couldn't have hung on a little bit with AJ Brown and tried to get this thing worked out. Like, as we know, Joe Rexrode, guys like AJ Brown don't just walk through the door in this facility here in Nashville.
Yeah, Debo really created probably the most contentious part of the AJ Brown situation. I mean, his thing spilled into AJ Brown, and of course, same agent and all that stuff. So, but yeah, if it all comes all the way back around to him and the Niners figuring it out, that's a great example of how it can work out. Again, when you say that, the draft is an opportunity. If you're worried, it is. That's when you get something done, and the Titans did. But look, I don't feel any differently. I think that's a move that John Robinson's going to regret, and that's mostly based on believing that AJ Brown actually can get better and will. And the health thing is TBD for sure. That's the biggest concern. That was the one thing, as they were talking about this pretty much slam dunk extension that was of course going to happen. That was the one thing that I said, that you're going to say if you're the Titans, and you're going to think about if you're the Titans, but we'll see. I think that all this stuff would also be a little bit less of a story here if things were not worrisome on the Traylon Burks front.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely a part of this. And, it's interesting to me too. Like I look at the McLaurin deal. That's a whole lot of money for a guy that, honestly, I think most fans around the NFL probably aren't as aware of what he brings to the table just because he plays for Washington and they get lost in the fold so much. But
really,
I mean, you're talking about a guy that, 87 catches 2 years ago for 1,100 yards, 77 last year for 1,000 yards. And think about who his quarterbacks have been. Like we make fun of Carson Wentz a lot, but Carson Wentz is a pretty clear upgrade over Taylor Heineke from last year. Like McLaurin could have a pretty big year this year.
Oh yeah, no question. And every once in a while he may be standing there like, wait, what did you just do, Carson? What are you doing? But he'll get the ball to him too, and he'll benefit from that. And that's the thing too with AJ is that's going to be interesting. I mean, if Jalen Hurts is going to be a good NFL starter, then I think this year we're going to find out. Like this year, like a little bit like Tua. I guess it's the Alabama quarterback thing. Like both of them now, it's like, okay, you've got people around you to to take another step as a quarterback. So and look, maybe AJ does suffer from going from Tannehill to Hurts as his QB.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and find out. I know a lot of excitement in Philadelphia, and they're already talking about what Jalen Hurts' next contract is going to look like and the massive numbers associated with that. So I saw some of that yesterday, like people discussing paying Jalen Hurts like $35-40 million a year. I was like, okay, all right, well, have fun with that. See how that works out. Coming up next, Baker Mayfield has broken his silence on the Deshaun Watson / Cleveland Browns situation. We'll get to that coming up on the other side. This is Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Join Chase McCabe for Chasing Checkers every Sunday morning at 8 for all the news in the world of motorsports.
Joey Logano gets the very first victory in the next-gen car
while hearing from the big names.
Two-time champion Kyle Busch.
Being able to bring NASCAR, the Cup Series, back to Nashville is cool.
It's Chasing Checkers, presented by Apple Collision Centers and the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway.
On ESPN
102.5 and 106.3, The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Get a king bed for a queen price at Mattress Firm and save up to $500 on top-rated brands like Sealy and Sleepy's.
Celebrate July 4th with huge deals from Electronic Express. Save big on summer necessities from brands like Charbroil, Yeti, Samsung, GE, Sony, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. Computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, and more. Save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com and get free express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
We here at 102.5 and 106.3 The Game are looking for our next great executive producer. Hey, it's Chase McCabe, the program director. If you think that's you and you think that you have the experience, the drive, and of course you share that love of sports, send your resume and cover letter to together@cromwellmedia.com.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
Hold on. So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and start getting cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code ESPN for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's promo code ESPN. Remember, use promo code ESPN for a $5 bonus on your first tank of gas.
Text Valley to 615-737-1025 now. We will qualify 38 listeners for a chance to win a summertime casino getaway at Bally's Evansville. Must be 21 to enter. The winner will be announced Friday at noon.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I'm asking about Prevnar 20 because there's a chance pneumococcal pneumonia could put me in the hospital.
Age 65 or older, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I want to be able to keep my plans.
So I'm asking my doctor about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
It's on. It's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way. I'm watching the game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Wednesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. I got some tickets to give away, a pair of tickets to WWE SummerSlam coming up at Nissan Stadium on Saturday, July 30th. Be caller number 3 at 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Caller number 3 will win a pair of tickets to WWE SummerSlam coming up at Nissan Stadium on Saturday, July 30th. 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, Baker Mayfield breaking his silence yesterday. He was at his youth football camp in Oklahoma. And of course, the relationship with the Browns has been a contentious one for Baker Mayfield ever since the pursuit of Deshaun Watson. And he broke his silence on that yesterday. Obviously, with Deshaun Watson and his NFL disciplinary hearing underway, which, by the way, will continue today, Mayfield was asked about his relationship with the Browns and what the possibility would look like if they could repair that and if he could play again for the Browns, given the fact that Deshaun Watson very well could be suspended for a significant portion or maybe the entirety of the 2022 NFL season. And the quote from Baker Mayfield was, quote, I think for that to happen, there would have to be some reaching out. But we're ready to move on, I think, on both sides. The quote from Baker Mayfield on his relationship with the Browns. So I've wondered this, Joe, about this whole Deshaun Watson saga. Like, they do still have Baker Mayfield on their roster. And as you pointed out yesterday, it's a roster that is, in their minds, I think, ready to win now. They've made some moves that are to help them in the short term. Jadeveon Clowney is back. Amari Cooper is in there. And no disrespect to Jacoby Brissett, but you're not winning a whole lot with Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback. I have wondered, like, will they try to repair things with Baker to the point where he can play this year? The more I think about it, especially knowing what his personality has been so far in the league, like, I just can't see this working out. Like, they've got to move on from Baker Mayfield at some point here soon, I would think. And Baker pretty much said as much yesterday. I think we're ready to just call it a day and move on to chapter number 2 in your career.
Yeah, I looked at it like they already have moved on and everything other than officially. It was actually kind of a surprising comment from him, but I guess it's probably good to say it that way. Maybe, if it would have to take some reaching out. To me, other things he said and it told me, like, yeah, I hate you guys. Don't ever talk to me again, for what you've done to me. But I suppose, like, for his, for the fact that, he's hoping the future employer will be found soon and will want to employ him. I guess it probably makes sense to be a little bit more diplomatic about this. But
and he did admit yesterday that he was frustrated that a trade had not happened before minicamp.
Yeah, as he should be. I mean, if you're him, even if you are the biggest Baker Mayfield hater in the world, and I'm not, I think he's a good player, and I think sometimes his personality gets in the way. But even if you just think very little of him, you got to look at this situation and have some sympathy for him, right? I mean, just some sympathy for the fact that, like, he's too good to just be some guy in limbo right now. And also, he's sitting there watching the Browns do what they did with Deshaun Watson and watching all of this play out. And just like everybody else, I'm sure thinking, my God, what have they done?
John on the text line says, as a Browns fan, I wish they could flip the switch and go back. Baker is our guy, and they messed it up. This is coming from John on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
That's really interesting. I'd love to know how many Browns fans feel that way. Because I feel like it's interesting. I do feel like a lot of Browns fans were out on Baker, right?
Sure.
And I don't know. Like, I'd love to also know the day Deshaun Watson was signed as compared to now. How has public opinion, how has Browns fandom opinion changed?
Well, there's got to be some difference, I would think.
I would think maybe pretty significant difference given the information that's come out since then.
Now, having said that, if and when the day comes that he throws his first touchdown pass with Cleveland, there will be a different sentiment that day as well.
Yeah, well, yes, there will be. And if it's great on the field over time, again, it'll be, this stuff will just, it'll still be brought up, and it will become very much well, look, what it'll become is what happens. One of my least favorite parts of sports, which is like fan bases screaming at each other, like, because like one fan base is like, your player or coach is a bad person, and like the fan base that would totally embrace and defend and rationalize the exact same behavior if that person was on their team, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be like a lot of like Steelers, Bengals, Ravens, keeping the Deshaun Watson stuff up as Browns fans more and more rationalize all this stuff.
I'm interested to see, number one, how quickly, like at some point, I would assume that a deal is going to get worked out for Baker Mayfield. Like, what's the return for Cleveland going to be? Like, if they're able to trade it, like, let's say it's Seattle, because that's the one that's out there right now that's speculated. Like, there's a limited market right now for Baker Mayfield in terms of where he can go. Like, I wonder, what does the return look like for Cleveland if they're able to work out a trade? Because I can't imagine it's going to be all that much.
4th rounder.
Yeah, like I'd be shocked if it was much more than that.
I mean, and what they need, of course, is they need like the Panthers and Seahawks to both decide that this has to be their quarterback, and that's the only hope to get any kind of return, is that that there's some kind of a bidding war. But yeah, everybody knows the situation they're in. They're screwed. They've to me, it's irreconcilable differences. It's over with Mayfield and the Browns. Everybody knows that, and they're stuck with the Watson situation, and they have to deal him. So it's a bad position to get anything back. Ron says, I truly believe the Niners and Browns should do an even trade of their QBs because they both want to start over. Oh, so you're saying the Browns bring in Jimmy G in this situation? Yeah, it's not. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they will decide, look, this roster, there's too many things up in the air right now, too much at stake with this roster to just go with Brissett. And maybe they will look at it like they've got to get something better at QB. I mean, I'd kind of figured they were just going to eat it, this year and be average without him. But maybe they think along those lines too. That's possible. Jimmy G's a good enough guy to start in the league right now. That's for sure.
Everybody keeps talking about, Carolina and their potential interest in Baker Mayfield, which I'm not going to totally rule that off the table, but they did just draft Matt Corral and they have Sam Darnold. Like, you've got 2 young guys, and I get it. Like, Sam Darnold, it's getting pretty close to the point with Sam Darnold where he just is what he is. Yeah. And I think that's becoming clear. Like, he had, a 3 or 4 game stretch to begin the season last year where you're like, oh, wow, look at Sam Darnold. Look what happens when you get away from the New York Jets. And then it devolved back into basically what we've seen throughout his entire career. But you did just draft Matt Corral too. Like, are you gonna have Darnold, Corral, and Baker Mayfield all on the same roster? I have my doubts.
I'm not huge on Corral as an NFL quarterback. I'm open to being wrong. But even if he is, I feel like he's not I think it's going to take a little bit of time. So I kind of look like him as a little bit more of a project signing. So I think the answer to your question is, like, how do you actually feel about Darnold? If you feel like it's just getting late with him, then and also it's like, what do you think about this team? If you had a Baker, what does that do for you? I mean, he would be the best of the 3 for sure if he's healthy. I don't think there'd be any question, right?
Yeah.
So what does that mean for your bottom line this year? I mean, they're not a very good team, but in this league, it's like, well, you can go back just about any team, unless you're just god awful, and go back through the last year and say, man, we had 4 or 5 games go the other way, and you never know. Now it's like, well, Baker, you could get to 9-8, you could be flirting with a wild card. I don't know. It's just like, what are your priorities? What and how do you look short term versus long term? If you really feel like you need to make some progress on the field this year and at least be okay, then I think they're in play for him.
We'll continue to take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll discuss a quarterback with local ties around here that has better odds even than Baker Mayfield to win the NFL Comeback Player of the Year award, which I know has Joe Rexrode just very fired up. We'll get to that coming up on the other side. You can join 102.5, 106.3 The Game and Newton Motor Group this summer to help kids in Middle Tennessee as we team up with Souls for Souls to provide shoes to children experiencing homelessness in Nashville and the surrounding areas. With school coming back, our goal is to raise $20,000, which will provide 1,000 pairs of shoes for kids, but we can't do it without you. So please consider helping however you can by going to thegamenashville.com/shoes. All donations will go directly to Souls for Souls to give shoes to children in Middle Tennessee experiencing homelessness. Let's do some good this summer, and thank you so much for your help. Once again, that's thegamenashville.com/shoes. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Want the latest on the Predators from the people that cover them?
Heck of a year so far for the Predators. They've been so much fun to watch.
Join Robbie Stanley for Preds Insiders every Monday at 6.
I feel probably as good about this group of 6 on D.
Presented by Dr. Kelly Rice on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Unlimited audio streaming is yours with Audible Plus. Enjoy thousands of select Audible originals, audiobooks, podcasts, and more. Sign up for a free Audible Plus trial at audible.com.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. There's no better time to upgrade your essential home systems than this month at Hiller. Hiller is offering 0 interest for 60 months on select new HVAC systems, 0 interest for 12 months on new tankless water heaters, and 0 interest for 12 months on new whole home generators. If you know you need a new system for your home, do it this month. These financing offers are available for a limited time only. You stay comfortable and cool all summer and handle the payments later. Visit happyhiller.com for all the details. As always, happy you'll be here. The service is free. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
We're saluting 4 more of our teammates at Cromwell Media this month. Cindy Johns in sales has been here 20 years. Lakin King, who handles all our commercial logs, is enjoying 13 years. Operations manager Ace Swartz is toasting 12 years with us. And Chase McCabe, program director for our Sportstalk stations, chalks up 10 years. That's 55 years of combined experience with our company. There's a reason for that tenure. We value our employees and do our very best to create a great work experience. Check us out at together@cromwellmedia.com.
7.5 million children in Ukraine need to find water and shelter. They need a place to sleep and comfort in the dark. Show them the world cares. Support UNICEF, unicefusa.org/action.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut rate car insurance, the cost to reattach your muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Looking good, Mrs. Dobbs.
The head groundskeeper at Thad's Golf Course just retired.
We need to find someone in the next 2 weeks. Someone with botany and management experience.
He needs a replacement because the greens are already looking a little rough.
Aeration, they need to know it all.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
At Total Wine & More, we're proud to have the lowest prices and the best case discount in Tennessee.
What? 16% off a case of wine?
Yeah, and you can get 9% off a case of spirits.
Wow.
With the lowest prices and the best case discount, Total Wine is the place to shop.
I'm gonna need another cart.
We'll always have the lowest prices in Tennessee, so love what you find at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly, B21.
Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN.
Welcome into the DDC.
Stomach Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have 2 choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators.
Scores!
Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
This is Greg McElroy, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic, intern Hanley here with you on this Wednesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Taking your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Paul Kaharski coming up at 8 o'clock. The Rex Rant here in just a few minutes at 7:45. So, Joe, we've discussed Baker Mayfield. There is a quarterback out there that has higher odds on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Excuse me, better odds on the FanDuel Sportsbook for NFL Comeback Player of the Year, and that is Marcus Mariota, who I would assume at the moment is slated to be the starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. I guess there's always a chance that Desmond Ridder slides in there, and maybe he's ready to go from the jump, but it looks like Marcus is going to be the starter down there. So, look, I think we know how I feel about Marcus Mariota. He's a great guy. Don't think he's necessarily the greatest quarterback in the world. Don't think he's necessarily a starting quarterback in the NFL. But Joe Rexrode, what do you make of this opportunity for the former Titans quarterback down there with Arthur Smith and company and the Falcons this year and everything that they have at their disposal?
This is just another opportunity for you to rip Marcus, isn't it?
We'll probably get some of that, yeah.
Well, look, you're going to have a hard time if you're following the career trajectory of Marcus Mariota. A lot of things that are not his fault, but the bottom line is when your body's breaking down the way his was by the end of his tenure here, and you kind of become that journeyman, that former high pick, it's going to be difficult to get a starting opportunity that doesn't come also with like a young guy right on your heels. I'd still say this is a fantastic opportunity for him. I think he will start the season as the starter, and certainly there's a lot of pressure. There's always huge pressure on the journeyman, like so veteran who is ahead of the rookie, even if the rookie may not be ready for another year. In the NFL anymore, especially, it will not take long for Atlanta Falcons fans to clamor for Desmond Ridder. But hey, you've got a chance to be a starter with a guy well, the system well, and you've got some weapons. You've got a team that I think is getting a little bit better. I don't think they're going to be great, but you can't ask for much better than this if you're Mariota. And by the way, I would just like to point out, we talked about my athletic piece, or not my athletic piece, but the athletic piece that I contributed to about the best offseason moves for every team. I prefer
it just being your piece, but yes.
Yes, I would like to take just full credit for it. But Josh Kendall, who covers the Falcons for us, said he answered the question about the best offseason move that the Falcons made, and his choice was Marcus Mariota. Quote, "Not only did the quick move allow the Falcons to immediately turn the narrative surrounding the most important position on the field," by the way, he's talking about losing Matt Ryan, "but also gave them a cheap veteran option who was already familiar with head coach Arthur Smith's system thanks to their shared time in Tennessee." Also said he's universally liked and will provide some stability in what could be a bumpy season. And that's, look, the Falcons they don't look like a playoff team to me. If Mariota somehow started all year and they were had a winning record, I don't know what that would do, but that would help him a lot. I'm just excited to see if he is healthy, how Arthur Smith, because right now I don't think there's any reason anymore for Marcus Mariota to think long term. Long term, you want to be able to walk later. But I feel like here there was always that he's the number 2 pick. Yes, he's a great athlete. Yes, you want to use that a little bit, but man, you don't want to use it too much. To me, this year, man, let it rip. Use what he brings, and he's still an elite athlete. He's one of the best athletes at quarterback in the league. Use it. Let it go. Do everything you can do with that, and see where you are. And he may get hurt again, but this is his shot. This is very likely his last shot to come into a season as an NFL starting quarterback.
Look, believe it or not, I actually am rooting for him. I know that you're just going to shake your head at that, but I hope he does well. But I will say this: if your best move as an organization in the offseason is bringing in Marcus Mariota, it's probably not a great commentary on your offseason. I'll just throw it out there that way.
Well, but except that, look, you're in a really tough spot, when you trade Matt Ryan at the position, right? So from that perspective, you at least have given yourself a chance. So I kind of get it. I hear what you're saying. Is there not a draft pick, a signing or something that's ooh, that could really help? But it is the most important position on the field, right?
It is. It is the most important position.
Yeah. Hey, I believe you that you're rooting for him. I also embracing myself for every snide comment you'll make every time he has a bad game. So
you imagine how much talking I'm going to do about quarterbacks this year, not named Ryan Tannehill. Between Marcus Mariota and Davis Mills, I'm going to be insufferable come football season.
Oh gosh. Yeah. We haven't really extended ourselves into a Davis Mills conversation much,
but it's
you may be talking about him because Davis, there's a lot of excitement about how he looks down there.
I'm just saying. The one thing in all seriousness for Marcus that I look at is he going to have enough weapons to actually succeed? Because to me, he needs weapons to really help him along the way. Now, year 2 of Kyle Pitts should be a big help, but you don't have Calvin Ridley. I know they did just draft Drake London, so maybe he comes in and he's immediately ready to go, and then maybe he's immediately a stud. Like, there are a lot of people that are very high on Drake London, so we'll see what happens on that standpoint. But like that wide receiver room, it's Drake London, and it's pretty much it. I know Cam Batson's there, but without Calvin Ridley being in the fold, being suspended for the entire season, I mean, it might be, I don't know. There are a couple others that I can think of that give it competition, but it might be the worst wide receiver room in the NFL. So that does not help Marcus in this discussion.
It does not. No, it's tough. And you basically need Drake London to be like rookie of the year level player, right away. I think he's gonna be a good player in the league, but that's asking a lot. I mean, Pitts is great, but
they do have Ferkser.
They've got some.
I mean, they've got pretty much every former Titan you could think of. So
they do. So there is some familiarity there. But again, I'm not saying Arthur Smith has his offense, but I'm going to be really fascinated. I'm not saying like you go to like the Ravens offense, but honestly, like I would do as much of that stuff as you can get away with Mariota. He's a good slider. He slides. He's always tried to protect himself. I feel like the Titans, and I understood it at the time where they were, where he was in his career, but I do feel like they didn't utilize it as much. And at times when he would let it rip, I mean, think about basically he got them into the playoffs in 2017 with that run against the Jaguars, right? And that run, if he doesn't make that run, they probably lose that game and don't get to the playoffs. And he has a huge game to win a playoff game with Kansas City doing some athletic quarterback things in that game too.
He threw a ball to himself, for God's sake.
I knew you were going to bring that up. I'm not even talking about that. That was lucky. But he when he's out there stressing defenses like that, he can be intriguing. You still have to throw it accurately and be efficient, all that. And I worry about the receivers too. But again, I would just go to more QB run stuff than he's ever had before by far. If he's going to be your guy, as long as he's your guy, do that and see how that works out for you. And I would think that he'd be in favor of that too.
The bottom line in this discussion, that when it really breaks down to it with the Falcons, I kind of feel bad for Arthur Smith because, he's entering into year 2 here. Marcus Mariota is probably your starting quarterback, unless Desmond Ridder turns into a star, which I guess he could, but that's probably a project that you're going to have to work on here. Like, I look at this roster right now. I don't think there's enough there to win. And I think eventually Arthur Smith is probably going to pay the price for it. And I'm not sure what else he can really do with this roster when it comes down to it. Like, I actually thought he did a pretty good job last year with the pieces that he had. Yeah. They just have a horrible defense. And he basically used Cordero Patterson. Like, he transitioned him from wide receiver to a running back. Like, he got pretty creative with the offense last year. I just think with this roster, there's a limit on what you can do. And I worry that ultimately he's going to pay the price for that.
Well, he could, but it's early. And I think everybody knew what he was inheriting. I think that there were positive signs on the coaching front. And excuse me, you got to think that there's going to be some patience, given the transition. I mean, the big hope is that Ridder eventually becomes your starter and very good. But
I'm not saying that he's going to get fired like this year or anything. Like, I just think this is going to be a multi-year process with the Falcons. And how much leash is he really going to get?
Well, it'll be interesting to see. They did add some pieces on defense. Can Dean Pease pull off some magic there? And if not, get ready, Atlanta media, to get some scoldings this year. And I'm here for that.
I think we're all here for that. Coming up next, it is time for the Rex Rant. Joe Rexrode's rant of the day. We'll get to that coming up on the other side. You can make every day a good old day with the hand crank taste of Bluebell ice cream. Got July 4th coming up later this weekend. What better way to celebrate America than with the great taste of Bluebell ice cream? The good old days are being made right now. This is Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Another pleasant start this morning with temperatures in the 50s and 60s. But today, we're heating back up. High of 94, heat index upper 90s.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
At Mitchell's Mr. Transmission, we also offer free towing with any major repairs. If your vehicle has a breakdown and you should need any type towing is available through Dad's Towing Service. Dad's is a professional towing company in Nashville that provides all types towing and recovery, 24 hours a day.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
Hey, this is Sean Ford, Director of Sales for ESPN 102.5 The Game. I'm looking for talented salespeople to add to our dynamic and growing team. If you're an experienced seller who's looking for a new adventure and a career path that offers more excitement and new opportunities, you may want to listen up. First of all, if you're hearing this message, you're probably already a fan of The Game. We have a long list of local businesses who are fans too and love what we do to help them grow. You might be someone who could be a part of that experience. Are you comfortable meeting strangers and earning their trust? Do you enjoy working in a team environment, but self-motivated to set and achieve your own personal goals? Are you a creative person who loves to share your ideas with others? Do you thrive on making a difference in your community? If the answers to all those questions was yes, then we should talk. Send your resume and cover letter to together@cromwellmedia.com. That's together@cromwellmedia.com. Let's see if we're a good match. Cromwell Media is an equal opportunity employer.
We here at 102.5 and 106.3 The Game are looking for our next great executive producer. Hey, it's Chase McCabe, the program director. If you think that's you and you think that you have the experience, the drive, and of course you share that love of sports, send your resume and cover letter to together@cromwellmedia.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free Fix Finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
Jared Stillman.
This is a team that the entire city is losing their minds over.
Caroline Fenton.
It's one of the youngest teams in the league. They don't have a single player over the age of 30.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app. The time is now for the Rex Rant.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
On Robby and Rexrode, here on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And it is that time today, time for the Rex Rant here on Robby and Rexrode. Joe Rexrode's rant of the day, a classic. Kokomo bringing us back in here today. Joe Rexrode, the song just puts me in the mood. I know it does you too. I turn things over to you for your rant of the day.
I'd get mad at Michelle for this song, but I just noticed on our little text thread that it's her 1-year anniversary. So this should be like a celebratory show.
It really should be.
I just
Congrats,
realized it too,
Michelle.
halfway through.
Well, and also she didn't play One Direction, so that's always a cause of celebration.
Yeah,
True.
actually, Kokomo kind of sounded good there.
It did.
Whoa, Joe.
I mean, like relative to One Direction, sign me up.
Jamming out to Kokomo all day.
Put me in the hammock in a thong, and I'll just give me a pina colada. And let's go.
Joe, don't ever say that again.
Sorry, but in all seriousness, it's awesome. It's been a great year. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure, being the mom of the team.
Somebody's got to control us.
Yeah. Tough job. All right, for this rant, I am going to put a listener on blast. So, but I'm basically using the listener as an example. Okay, so Viking Matt, just like to say, Viking Matt's a terrific contributor to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHoney.com.
He is,
and very much enjoy his conversation. But I am going to. We had a little back and forth yesterday on Deshaun Watson, so I want to take that opportunity. I've kind of had similar rants, I guess, but that's okay. Every once in a while, you got to refresh things. So I think one important thing to remember is that a court of law is not the arbiter of leagues or teams making decisions to discipline people. I mean, I think that should be obvious, but what you see a lot in situations like this is the people bringing the tried and true innocent until proven guilty into it. Okay, so I'm going to read Viking Matt's post from yesterday. Honestly, I would like to put this to bed for good. Now, it will be put to bed for good, or until the next time someone says something like this and I get all mad and have to spout off again. So Viking Matt and I went back and forth, and here's his comment, quote, "Innocent until proven guilty is the way our legal system works, or at least the last time I checked it was." And for Trevor Bauer, he was talking about Trevor Bauer, of course, who had consented to have rough sex with the same person multiple times, was cleared of all charges, and yet is still suspended. Okay, Joe, if someone, again, we're talking about Deshaun Watson here, but this post, he doesn't mention Watson. But okay, Joe, if someone makes a false claim against you for sexual abuse, but you are found innocent, should 1025 fire you or suspend you, even though you are innocent, end quote. Now, again, the Trevor Bauer thing separate, but it goes to the point of, yes, there are criminal proceedings, and Deshaun Watson, a grand jury in Texas, or two, have not charged him. Okay, but to answer your question on 1025, Viking Matt, if I had been found to have scheduled at least 66 massages, all from young women in a 17-month period, been accused multiple times of sexual assault, been given hotel space and NDAs from my employer, had admitted sexual encounters, and had 2 women who filed criminal charges who weren't suing me, still had 4 women suing who have not been willing to settle the whole time, had details from these encounters expressed by the women that were extremely similar and very much tied to the power dynamic at hand, and had quite clearly been demonstrated totally apart from criminal allegations to be a sexual predator, then yes, Viking Matt, I think I might have a problem with my employer.
I would say so.
So can we please stop with the innocent until proven? You can be found not guilty or cleared of charges or not charged, and that should not be conflated with confirmed bad behavior. But with the Watson thing, this should not be an argument anymore.
Well, honestly, I think with the latest Jenny Renta's report from the New York Times, I think that has changed the way a lot of people view this, because I do think this conversation a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, when, especially right after he was found and there were no charges that were brought against him criminally, then I think there was a lot of that going around. I think the latest report from Jenny Rentas that's kind of highlighted the pattern of behavior and the scope of it, which, by the way, there still could be more. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. I do think that has changed the way a lot of people view this with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I do too. Now, look, before the latest, I still think, yeah. Well, listen, for sure. Like, there's no question, because before that, yeah, it was like, he's got to have some games. This is gross. Anybody who I think paid attention to everything that was part of this, to the reporting, the details, it wasn't good. And he clearly, not good at all. But I agree, the latest is so, it just increases the magnitude of the situation and how really I'm trying to think of the right word. It's just, predatory. It's just like obsessive, excessive. That's where people are talking. There's still people talking about lifetime ban. I don't think that's going to happen, but I agree with you. The view now with all the information available is, for most people, I think, understandably grim on what this was and what this has been. And Sane in Portland says nobody who is truly innocent chooses to settle. The settling part of this, I think, every single Title IX lawsuit that has come through college athletics, for example. There's always talk about, no, I'm not settling these, and then they always get settled. Like that's pretty much guaranteed.
I don't necessarily buy into everybody who's truly innocent doesn't settle. Like that has definitely happened before in the legal system. Now, Deshaun Watson, as we've said, the pattern of behavior is pretty clear at this point with Deshaun Watson. So, certainly innocent is not the term that I would probably throw around with Deshaun Watson, even though there are no criminal charges that have been filed against him. But I don't know that I necessarily buy into nobody that's ever been innocent in the history of litigation is settled.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to separate these two things too. Like there are countless things that any of the three of us could be fired for that would be awful, that would not bring criminal charges. Right. But I feel like whenever these things happen, some people just think of the legal system, and that applies to everything. It doesn't. And again, the Bauer thing, that's a totally different situation. And I'll be honest, like I don't know every single detail of that. I've read some of it, and it's hard to read, honestly. But I understand still with that situation why he would still be open to being punished, and why he was punished. Was it too much? I don't know. But again, like you have to separate the two things. If we can do that, then I think a lot of these discussions are better.
I got a text that says that's completely wrong. Settling and guilt or innocence are rarely related. It has way more to do with the cost and hassle of a trial.
Yeah, cost, hassle, and also there's a lot of, in a lot of situations with settling, whether it's guilty or innocent, there's a lot of information that people do not want to be made public, which will be made public if you go to a trial.
Correct. So all that being said, like, by the way, like the Deshaun Watson situation may not be over. Like that's part of what the NFL is going for here in the disciplinary hearing of why they're reportedly pushing for at least a year and indefinite is because there still could be more information that comes out. Like we're just now getting into like the Texans' involvement in this and everything else. Like this could be far from over when it comes to the Deshaun Watson part of this.
Right. And that's where, I mean, this is going to be fascinating from the standpoint of, if it does get to the point of indefinite, at least a year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the NFLPA on this is going to be really interesting. They have to fight. They have to, because beyond whatever you think of this situation, I mean, they have to fight for the players on this, and the whole argument of owners who have been in compromising situations. Not that the Kraft thing compares, in my opinion, to this, but still, I mean, look at Snyder, right?
Yeah,
like it's a good argument from the NFLPA, but it'll also be interesting to see how that plays out because when you're defending this behavior is tough. I'm sure a lot of players are also disgusted by this. At the same time, like you still have to like if this does happen. Now you have set that precedent for it to happen, right? And that's something that the NFLPA has to fight against. So there's a lot of interesting stuff to come with this.
This has been the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45 here on Robby and Rexrode. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Paul Kaharski from paulkaharski.com and Outkick 360. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Your speaker at home is so smart that even Alexa knows where to find Nashville's best sports talk.
102.5 The Game is Nashville's best sports talk.
Ask Alexa to enable 102.5 The Game. Once enabled, ask Alexa to play 102.5 The Game.
Welcome to 102.5 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Tough jobs need tough equipment. For equipment that gets the job done right, elite certified service, and genuine Kubota parts, choose Coleman Tractor Company, Tennessee's largest full-line Kubota dealer. Get hay season done right with a Kubota M7 tractor. User-friendly controls, all-day comfort, powerful versatility. Lease the Kubota M7 for as low as $13,200 annually, now through June 30th. See us at KubotaUSA.com for more information. Visit Coleman Tractor Company, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House today.
Signs First is the official sign company for 1025 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
Jump into the thrill at Bally's Evansville Casino with 24-hour gaming excitement, 3 dining options, and 2 first-class hotels. Plan your casino getaway now at Bally'sEvansville.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
At Boost Mobile, you get the power of the iPhone SE when you switch, which means the power to stream your favorite shows, download all the music, the power to FaceTime your ex.
It's over. Stop calling me.
On second thought, don't call your ex. Get an iPhone SE for just $19.99 when you switch. All on one of America's largest 5G networks. More power to save. Boost Mobile. Phone offer limited to new customers and 1 per line. Additional restrictions apply. 5G not available everywhere. See boostmobile.com for details. And stop calling your ex. She doesn't want to hear from you anymore.
Hey, where'd you get that synthesizer?
I just bought it. Since we're saving so much with no mortgage down payment and no PMI with Navy Federal Credit Union, I figured I'd put some of that extra money to good use. Oh, and I'm starting a band with some platoon mates.
Great.
Learn how you can save $2,500 on average with a Navy Federal mortgage at NavyFederal.org. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
Hold on. So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and start getting cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code ESPN for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's promo code ESPN. Remember, use promo code ESPN for a $5 bonus on your first tank of gas.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne,
Robby and Rexrode at DDC.
Still in company. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
The leading receiver.
Awesome game 7.
Checker flag in the air. The game.
A Cromwell media station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Hour number 3, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic, intern Hanley here with you on this Wednesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. And as we do every Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Paul Kaharski from PaulKaharski.com and Outkick 360, which you can check out every day from 2 to 5 on 94.9 The Fan. PK, what's going on, brother? How we doing?
Morning, gentlemen. I'm well. Hope same for you.
We are doing well. Appreciate you being with us this morning. So, PK, we were talking about this a little bit earlier in the show, the opportunity for former Titans quarterback Marcus Mariota in Atlanta. How do you view that situation for him? Do you think there's a chance that he could still prove to be a starting quarterback at the NFL level, or is he just kind of slated to be a backup at this point and this is just a transition period? How do you view this opportunity for Marcus down in Atlanta with Arthur Smith?
I think he'll be hurt within a month. And that we'll see the rookie there out of Cincinnati. I think that they just had to find somebody to hold things over until they could get going, and it's more a marriage of familiarity than desire. I think if Arthur Smith really had a choice, he wouldn't have chosen Marcus Mariota. He had to choose Marcus Mariota. I mean, the guy is held together with tape. He ran one play last year where they got excited about him in Las Vegas, and they were going to use him as kind of this counter to Carr, where they were going to do some fancy things with him, and he got hurt, and he was out for a month or 6 weeks. I'm not a Mariota guy at all. He refused to adapt here, to change his game, to change his habits, and that was after, I think, 3 years of me saying that I thought he had the mindset and the skill set to be a franchise guy, but he is not a franchise guy. I think he'll be a backup after this, and it could be a competent backup if he can stay healthy. But you need your backup to be a guaranteed healthy guy, and if you're not a guaranteed healthy guy as a backup, you're nobody.
So we've found someone who dislikes Mariota even more than Robby. That's actually, I do want to follow up on that, Paul. When you say adapt mindset / skill set, what do you mean by that?
Well, the way he approached when he was coming in, Joe, to what was bound to be his last year, I repeatedly found different ways to ask him, are you going to change anything about your approach here? Are you going to change anything about your mindset here because your circumstances have changed and what you've done haven't worked? And he consistently said, no, going to do everything exactly the same. Not going to change a thing. And I just thought, well, there's a guy that doesn't get it. I mean, he's on the verge of losing his job. They've brought in a guy who could replace him on the way. The contract is coming up, and he thinks everything's fine. He's just going to go about things the exact same way, and they haven't worked. The one whole change he made in his whole time here was he decided it wasn't a good idea not to come out for warm-ups before games, before the official warm-ups before games, which is virtually unheard of, except if you've got a Miami guy in a snowy situation. Samari Rolle used to not even come out for official warm-ups in Cleveland if it was snowing. But Mariota, I don't know if you'd heard that story. Used to not even come out to stretch or warm up or do anything until the official warm-ups 50 minutes before the game. That was the one thing he changed in his approach. Otherwise, he was rather stubborn.
And his pressers were quite revealing.
Yes, there's no question about that. Paul, I'm interested for your thoughts on this. You've written about this week at paulkaharski.com. We've talked so much about the cornerback group for the Titans and the youth that they have there. But I will say, when I look at Caleb Farley and Roger McCreary and Elijah Molden, there's a lot of youth, but there's also a lot of talent as well. My question for you is, do you think that this could eventually, as the season progresses for the Titans, turn into a position of strength for them?
Well, I worry about Farley. I think everybody should worry about Farley. The combination of not just that he's coming off an ACL, and we've seen how slow that could be, though he did it very early. He's injury prone, I think it's fair to say, beyond that, with what we've seen. The back injury was serious before that, and that's not all that he had in college. And then, not a ton of cornerback experience beyond that. Rexrode's boy Glennon likes to really give him a lot of credit for that. He's going to give him like a 3-year runway because he hasn't played a lot of cornerback. But I think, I look back at the Bucs and what I wrote this year, and Carlton Davis and Sean Murphy Bunting were really inexperienced young guys in their Super Bowl year. And I think if you've got a really good defensive front, the way the Titans do, you can win a championship with inexperience on the back end if you've got talented and athletic guys. If McCreary is what he should be as a second-round pick, and the Titans don't always get what they should there, and if they stay healthy, and that caveat goes on everything, I think they could that group could be more than enough to win with there. Once it sorts out who starts, and they've got some flexibility, more flexibility than usual into who can pop inside, and virtually all of them can play inside and out. So it's a little bit encouraging. as long as they stay healthy. I think it could be part of a winning formula, particularly on defense. Now, I don't know if the defense overall can be good enough to overcome what I fear could happen on offense. That's the big overall question.
So you get mad at something Glennon writes, and now it's Rexrode's boy Glennon. So that's that's like indirectly my fault now. Is that where we're
that's
going?
Really something for me to make Glennon your boy when I've been with Glennon since like '97.
Exactly. You guys are the two Muppets guys in the balcony. We've talked about this, Paul, but I just want to get your check at this point. A month from camp, we know that basically you've got 4 people, competing for 2 spots, and I'm not sure that any of the 4 are NFL starting caliber offensive linemen. And then we know that the receiver room is problematic right now. So do you have any different feeling on, and I understand what you're going to say, who's out there, who would you go get, but do you have any different feeling on the idea of a veteran at either spot? And then let me follow up with that to make this really long. Which of those 2 positions concerns you most? I think they're clearly the top 2 concerns.
Who's out there? Who are you going to go get? That's a good question as to which one is the bigger concern. I think they've got more. Off the top of my head, Joe, I feel like they've got better options on the offensive line, as ridiculous as that sounds. I mean, they certainly have more faith in Aaron Brewer than they do in some of those receivers, I think. And if Aaron Brewer can't do it, I think they like Jamarco Jones. And I think Nicholas Petit-Frere is, obviously a work in progress, but encouraging. Don't fall in the trap of being confident about Dylan Radins at this point. While he was kind of the de facto right tackle, nobody means less, not in pads, than he does. I've got a piece coming about kind of his attitude about the whole thing. Receivers, look. I wrote this week. They're back to that place. With the uncertainty at receivers that they've had for so many years. It's remarkable that it's kind of masked the whole thing, because outside linebacker / edge rusher used to be the other position that we always had concern about, to a lesser degree, because there was Javon Curse, there was Kyle Vanden Bosch, there was even Jason Babin, but they've fixed that. I mean, they don't have a singular guy, but they've got 3 outside linebackers who are, collectively great. But I'm more concerned, I think, about wide receiver, just because it's a wide receiver league, right? The quarterback can make up for the offensive line, and Derrick Henry can make up for the offensive line to a degree. But you can't fake wide receiver in this league where weapons are so important. And after Robert Woods, you don't have a single guy that you're certain is going to be any kind of threat. So they're going to have to scheme it up, game it up, and pray that these guys develop. And I think most people share my lack of confidence.
I'm so glad that Dylan Radins came out. What is up with your Cindy Brady quote tweet of Dylan Radins a few weeks ago? Like, what? Why do you waste your time with things like this?
Remind me. Yeah, I mean, there are certain things about myself that I just can't help, Joe. I was just talking to my wife the other day about how I wake up with automatic negative thoughts, and I'm really working on that. But what was my Cindy Brady tweet?
I don't have it in front of me, but Dylan Radins was making some joke like, I'm like the starter, I'm guarding the Gatorade, whatever. He's like tweeting at Will Compton or something, and you were like, Titans fans, is this who you want to represent your franchise? He's not serious.
I mean, Dylan Radins says nothing of substance and won't say anything about wanting to seize the job. But then he's on there just hamming it. His personality is so difficult for me to handle. But I just need to not tweet on stuff like that, because Titans fans are so generally stupid that they will defend the worst player on the team. How dare you say something negative about our second-round pick who isn't coming close to living up to expectations and may be the call of our downfall. We will defend his honor no matter what. Don't go so far as to challenge Isaiah Wilson, or we'll really come after you.
I'd say this is at least some good time for introspection. I feel like I think we've made progress today.
I think we have to. PK, last thing for you here. I'm interested to get your thoughts on this. Basically, it's like a general state of the media question, because the Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup this week, and they've got journalists tweeting out photos of like holding the cup over their head and talking about trying to hug players. I'm just interested, like, do you think homerism is a big problem in today's media? Like, how do you view the current state of media today in 2022?
Let's set 10 minutes aside for this answer.
It is a giant problem, a massive problem. Who is a legitimate reporter? Rexrode's not full-time on the Preds by any means. Who's the singular legitimate reporter on the Nashville Predators in Tennessee now after Adam Vingan lost his job? There isn't one.
Yeah.
There is not a single journalistic reporter covering the Nashville Predators in Tennessee who isn't cheering for them in the press box.
That's not true. That's not true.
Who is it?
Paul Skrbina isn't waving his gold foam finger up on press row at all.
Reading Paul Skrbina. Zero people.
So now we're going to let you see. Now you let him take shots at the Tennessee. Fine, go ahead. You want to say something about Jason Wolf? Go rip on Jason Wolf.
Okay, I take it back. Paul Skrbina is legitimate. He's got no audience. He doesn't.
I don't know his audience, but he works for the Tennesseans. I bet he has some level of audience.
Well, he's going to get a bigger audience now if there are any Preds fans who want to read anybody but a cheerleader.
Paul Karski.
That's it. You had so many things you could have gone here with.
Stanley Cup. Sorry?
There were so many ways you could have taken that. This is why I need the Titans to win it all, because you're going to rip your shirt off and just like make out with the Lombardi. It's going to be amazing. And then ridiculous. The next day on Stilly and Paulie, it's going to be 4 hours of recap. It is going to be amazing.
That's absolutely ridiculous. If the Titans won the Lombardi Trophy, I would not lift it over my head. I would be happy for the city. I would be happy for a certain degree of people over there. There are other people over there that seeing them next to the Lombardi Trophy would make me throw up.
Paul Karski from paulkarski.com and Outkick 360, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode, joins us every Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock. PK, great stuff as always. You can catch you today at from 2 to 5 on 94.9 The Fan.
Good day, boys. Good day.
Absolutely. Paul Karski,
thanks, PK,
our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take your reaction, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN.
Welcome into the DDC.
Starting company is delivered. There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators.
Scores!
Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Get a king bed for a queen price at Mattress Firm and save up to $500 on top-rated brands like Sealy and Sleepy's.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now, 615-576-5000.
Race fans, it's the biggest event of the summer, July 9th at Nashville's legendary Fairgrounds Speedway with the SRX Racing Series and Rackney Roofing Masters of the Pros 150. This event will sell out quickly, so get your tickets now at NashvilleFairgroundsSpeedway.racing. The biggest names from NASCAR and Indy Racing like Tony Stewart, Bobby Labonte, Michael Waltrip, Helio Castroneves, Joseph Newgarden, and more. Don't miss this huge event. Secure your tickets today at NashvilleFairgroundsSpeedway.racing.
7.5 million children in Ukraine need to find water and shelter. They need a place to sleep and comfort in the dark. Show them the world cares. Support UNICEF, unicefusa.org/action.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Okay, input footage. How is the hard drive already full?
Jawan's Pilates studio converted to entirely virtual classes.
What's MPEG?
But leading and editing sessions is stretching her too thin.
It says render failed. What'd I do?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by conducting interviews on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Wednesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Thanks to Paul Kaharski for joining us on the program. He joins us every Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock. I thought he'd go a little deeper with the homerism and media. That's right up his alley.
Yeah, well, yeah, you could go on and on about that. I like how he thought I was serious about him, ripping his shirt off and kissing the Lombardi. I like that. And also, he's now texting me the people who would make him puke if they were standing next to Lombardi. I won't share those names though.
It is.
By the way, I'm going to flatly disagree with him on the there's no one who covers the press. Yeah, this is also what happens.
Yeah.
Well, this was what happens too. Like when you have people who are like strictly cover, like Titans or strictly cover Preds, or this probably happens in other cities like this too. It's like, well, that press corps is, they're such homers. It's like you get protective of your own press corps.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I know it's a shocker that Kaharski might exaggerate things a little bit, but yeah, come on.
Beautiful stuff. It has been an interesting week. Like, just watching the Avs media hold the cup over their head and talk about hugging players and all this other stuff. It's like, that's why, honestly, when the Norris Trophy vote came out, I'll just be totally transparent with you. When I saw that somebody left Yossi off the ballot entirely, I was like, my God, the Avs media has struck again.
No, I did
was
too.
Shocked it wasn't one of them. I really was.
Yeah, no, I did too. And by the way, it was Scott Powers.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Shout out to Scott. We haven't talked about him in a few days.
Shout out to Scott.
And not for any sinister reason, which frankly it does make it better. It does make it better than like the homer who is such a homer that he or she is trying to use a vote to, alter the results of a vote, but still pretty bad. Yeah. It's funny. The Unrivaled documentary came out, of course, this week. And if you haven't seen it, if you like hockey at all, watch it. It's awesome. You don't have to care like about the Red Wings Avs rivalry like I did to think it's awesome. But I will say it does remind me speaking of Homer media, so my buddy Bob Wanowski Wojo, who's been a Detroit news columnist forever, they had he was interviewed for it, and like he wrote this column, and it was like put on the front page like wanted Claude Lemieux. And then Chris Vanini, friend of the show, he tweeted out a picture of, I guess, the Free Press. I don't remember this. They had like a cutout voodoo doll, or they had like a voodoo doll of Patrick Waugh, and like the number on the back of the jersey was 666. I mean, that like stuff like that. It did get pretty homery. I mean, gosh, I need to go back and read some Kisla columns from then.
My God.
I don't know if Kisla was a columnist at that point yet, if he had gotten to columnist, but if he was, holy crap, what did he write about the Red Wings back then? And like Claude Lemieux with his halo on his head, my goodness. Again, Mark Kisla's a nice guy, but like some of the stuff he wrote about Nashville 4 years ago, which I actually then wrote about in the Tennessee, which, by the way, you probably could point at me and say you're being a bit of a homer, but it was like, dude, please stop falling into these. It was so bad. Yeah. And then this year, Kisla's got the Ryan Johansson stick is in his mind is totally intentional, and he's like tweeting out video of it. I mean, what are you talking about? It's just it's quite a crew. It's quite a crew. But they won the cup, so
yes, they did.
I mean, where's Kisla's name on the cup? Is what
I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, look, the landscape of the coverage of your favorite teams, or the media landscape, has changed. Like, it's a different time. Like, there's people have access to Twitter. You can make a website at the drop of a hat. Like, I mean, look, I got my start in this business because I was 18 years old, and I decided to make my own hockey website. So it's a different time now that we're living in. So the traditional objective newspaper reporter from back in the day, I'm not saying it's a thing of the past, but it's just way different now than it used to be. So like, it's not ever going to be the same. But look, there's always been homerism to some degree when you go back through the media. I don't think there's any question about that, but I think it's probably just a little bbit more prevalent now with social media. It's been quite something this week.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't think that's an excuse for those guys. And
I don't either.
I still think there's plenty of objective, and it doesn't have to be the newspaper reporter. It could be the TV reporter or the internet. I think there's plenty of objective people who do it the right way. I mean, look, let's take your example. Okay, so you grew up as a kid, you rooted for the Preds, you started a blog. Okay, was it a blog?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, all right. I love blogs.
Oh yeah,
I miss blogs. I miss my Hey Joe blog from back in the day at the Lansing State Journal. But so then you start covering the team, and you do it the right way. I went to Michigan State, so I cheered when I was before I got into like the student paper. I went to freaking games and cheered, and then it's like, okay, I'm not going to do this crap anymore. And then it gets beaten out of you for the most part.
This is why I don't work in Lexington.
Yeah, it got beaten out of me within about a week and a half. I was like, all right, this is my job.
Do you want to do this? Because if you want to do this, now look, I think there's another part of this conversation we had. I do think that like fans they do like the fan perspective. I mean, I think there's value in that, right? So I think there's still room for that. But even within that, okay, so some of the guys who have been up on press row, who I think like a PK or a Jared, the Stilly and Pauly show stars, would probably rip on, like Bradford and Martell and Gover. Okay, dude, if they covered, had that gone all the way to the Preds winning the cup, those guys would have been professional, absolutely 100% professional about it. Yeah. They absolutely would have been. I have no question in my mind. So it's just I think when I saw this week, I had a problem with it. And you're right that it's different. There's a lot of blurred lines, and there is probably a lot more kind of like fan podcasts and things like that. And even look, like on our station, I appreciate Jared's perspective. He said like he goes. I've seen Jared at a game. I've been in a box with Jared. He was cheering for the Preds.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't do that, but I mean, I think that there's room for both things. But it's just when it comes down time to do your job, like you have to be able to call balls and strikes still.
We'll continue this discussion. We'll get to Rob in Nashville on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. coming up next as well. By the way, DJ Burnside on Twitter has photoshopped Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh over PK's face on our little graphic that we put up. So you can check that out as well. I have just retweeted that, so you can check that out as well.
Wow,
we'll continue the conversation.
Beautiful.
Coming up next, this is Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hi, I'm UC Saros. And this is Nashville.
Now here's a try off to the side. What a stop made by UC Saros there.
Unreal. You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Dan Abrams and Ashley Banfield are now back-to-back on News Nation. Get the news without the bias. Weeknights starting at 9/8 Central on America's fastest-growing cable news network. News Nation.
Attention all foremen with 3 years experience. Harness LLC is your local excavation and site utilities company. We're growing and we need 5 foremen to grow with us. This is Ray Jeter with Harness LLC. Invest in a company who's going to invest in you. Go to selectharness.com to apply today. The 5 foremen we hire will receive 100% paid health coverage, vacation, and up to $6,000 sign-on bonus. Go to selectharness.com and apply today. Harness LLC. Build people, move dirt.
Golfers, it's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the Callaway Trade-In Trade-Up event happening now through July 4th. Bring in any of your old clubs and receive a 50% trade-in bonus towards new Rogue ST Woods and Irons and Apex Irons. Both the Rogue and Apex families are designed with artificial intelligence for faster ball speeds. Swing by Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get your 50% bonus trade-in on Callaway Rogue ST and Apex Irons today. And while you're there, get custom fit for free. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
If you suffer from joint pain, from arthritis, or an injury, you know the traditional treatments: pain meds, steroids, and then surgery, right? Willie Donick here with great news. Now there's a better way, and it's here now from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. This is an advanced, exciting, and natural alternative that can give you lasting relief using your body's own healing power. Listen, steroid shots are toxic to your joints. Pain meds can be addictive, and nobody wants to go under the knife. It's 2022, and those old ways are out. The new way is in. Regenerative medicine, restoring and repairing damaged joint tissue using natural biologics. No drugs, no downtime, no surgery. QC Kinetics and their protocols can address any pain in any joint and give you the quality of life you deserve. So call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics now. 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
We here at 102.5 and 106.3 The Game are looking for our next great executive producer. Hey, it's Chase McCabe, the program director. If you think that's you and you think that you have the experience, the drive, and of course you share that love of sports, send your resume and cover letter to together@cromwellmedia.com.
At Total Wine & More, we're proud to have the lowest prices and the best case discount in Tennessee.
What? 16% off a case of wine?
Yeah, and you can get 9% off a case of spirits.
Wow.
With the lowest prices and the best case discount, Total Wine is the place to shop.
I'm gonna need another cart.
We'll always have the lowest prices in Tennessee, so love what you find at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly, B21.
Your home for Hit City is 94.9 The Fan.
Your Nashville Sounds continue their series at First Horizon Park against the Indianapolis Indians.
Swing and a miss, strike three. Sounds win.
Coverage begins at 6:50.
On your home for Sounds baseball, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey Nashville, this is Mookie Betts. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
We are your racing station. 102.5, 106.3 The Game is Nashville's home for NASCAR. Tune in this Sunday at 1 o'clock for the Quick Trip 250. You can also join Chase McCabe every Sunday morning at 8 o'clock for Chasing Checkers as he talks to the drivers and gets you set for the racing weekend. NASCAR on 102.5, 106.3 The Game is presented by the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Wednesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Rob from Nashville. Rob, thanks for calling into Robby and Rexrode.
Always thanks, and good morning. I was thinking about the homerism commentary And it seems to me that in Nashville, there is a couple people that do it very well. And if you think about it, Terry Crisp, old timer, but nonetheless does it very well. He is critical, but he puts a nice spin on it. Sure, he's a bit of a homer, right? He's cheering for the Preds, but he's not shy to call it out, right? He's not shy to call out what's wrong. You know, I can tell you right now his last take on the defense and poor decision making and excellent points without putting people down. They probably know it themselves. And it harkens back to the day I'm from Montreal, and I used to really love reading the Gazette and Red Fisher and his take, and he was brutal on the Canadians, brutal, but to a point where he was right. And when he's right, and the writing is so crisp and so clean, and that's to my next point is you can put any Yahoo in front of a computer and write a point. And unfortunately, the level of writing has dropped and the level of criticism has dropped. And you do have homers kissing the cup and hugging players, which I think is a joke.
Hey, thanks for the call, Rob. We appreciate it. I mean, look, Liam on the text line says, sports are inherently entertainment. As a fan, I find it boring for journalists to remove the emotion of pulling for a team from their coverage. You aren't covering global thermonuclear war. Have some fun and be objective. It can be both. Look, I do think there's value in not losing the emotion of the game. You don't want to be some robot out there, but I don't like a fandom of a team influencing the way you cover it. You should be able to be objective. And honestly, sports fans, I don't think you should want somebody covering your team who can't be critical and who can't tell you how it is. To me, that's a disservice to you, the fan. Just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, look, I mean, to me, you need to cover the emotion. You need to understand, and this is where it's actually much easier to do the job today, in my opinion. You need to understand how the fans feel about things, and you need to be connected to them. That was harder as an old person who used to write for newspapers, where your feedback would be if someone called the office or a letter to the editor.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very easy to kind of have you have to be careful because social media can skew things, as we've talked about many times, but it's important to know how the fans feel and to think of the fans, because you are working for the fans, and to cover that emotion. And I mean, those moments, those big moments, you gotta, again, what's your advantage? Why do you have value? Because you are behind the scenes in these situations where you can get a conversation, a scene that no one else has, and the fans want to read about it. So if you're walking around like a jackass with the cup over your head and you don't have a notebook, you're probably screwing up, right? I mean, but that's to me is do your job. But also I would say about the fan covering a team issue, I agree. You definitely want people who are going to be critical. The thing that can happen also, though, with fans covering teams is they can be overly critical. I mean, it's, I think sometimes if you're emotionally tied into something, it can be hard to pull yourself back and look at it objectively.
Correct.
So there's two sides of that. There's the super, my team. I mean, it's kind of different kinds of fans, right? The sunshine blower, my team can do no wrong. It'll be all right. You're being too critical, or everything sucks.
Constant doom and gloomer. Yes.
Right. So, but I think there's room for all of it. This, for me, I'll tell you, growing up as a fan, a fan of the Detroit freaking Lions.
Restore the roar.
Sad relic. Restore the roar. On Monday mornings, I was absolutely, even going back to college. When the Lions had a horrible loss, I am buying the Detroit Free Press and Detroit News, and these columnists. You better be smoking these guys for what they did. I want
team that will not yield.
Thank you. That's. I want to know what, fill in the name. Mitch Albom, Drew Sharp, Wojo. I want to know what you think about it, and you better be tough on these guys because they ruined my Sunday, right? I mean, there's maybe I think people want that.
Yeah. No, I think some people also want the other way of
to be told everything's okay.
Yeah. Like I think there's a lot of that goes on out there as well. Joe, real quickly, I do want to get your thoughts on this because PK wrote about this week at paulkarski.com about corners, and we've talked so much about Farley and McCreary and all this stuff. I started thinking about this last night. You know, nobody saw the pass rush for the Titans coming last year. I mean, they were just one of the previous year were one of the worst teams in the history of the league in terms of getting after the quarterback and sacking the quarterback. Now, they did bring in Bud Dupree, and they did bring in Danico Autry. We thought it would be better. I don't think anybody anticipated it turning into what it turned into for the Titans last year. I will say, I look at the cornerback room. There's not a ton of experience. There is a lot of talent in that cornerback room. I wonder, could the cornerback room for the Titans take a similar trajectory this year as the pass rush did last year for the Titans in terms of, you know, there's talent there. There's not huge expectations for it. Do you think that could happen with this group in terms of it becoming eventually maybe not the position of strength like the pass rush did last year, but a pretty solid position of strength for the Titans as it relates to the picture of the whole football team?
Well, if it does, I think this team could win 11, 12 games, even with a very average offense. Like that could be, it's hard for me to, if that happens, imagine this defense being anything but like right around the top 3 or 4 in the league.
Yeah.
And so if you look at how it happened last year, you had Jeffrey Simmons taking a pretty significant step. Again, I don't think he had a bad 2020, but he had a dominant 2021 after having a solid 2020. I mean, after 2020, still didn't know for sure. Okay, so where are things going with Jeffrey Simmons? Is he going to be a great player or just a good player? I think now you think he's going to be a great player. So he takes a big step. Harold Landry has his best season and takes another step as a player. You know, Dupree wasn't even that big of a factor in this, but he still was there. And I still think at times you got more out of him than you had. Well, you certainly got more out of him than you had, like from, I don't know, Vic freaking Beasley. And then
Reed. Yeah,
there you go. And then Autry is the most underrated part of it. So one really high impact ad and 2 guys who, well, to borrow a Vrabel phrase, went from good to great, at least from one season to the other. So can you have, is there a similar type of situation? The thing is, you really are adding 2 people. Really, you're adding McCreary and Farley.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Farley was on the field early last year, but he hadn't done much in camp, and he really wasn't making much impact even before the ACL. But if those guys can be like, I guess, Dupree and Landry, and, you know, a Molden can be like one of those guys who took a big step, or really Molden can be like Fulton, right? Year 1 to year 2. Well, you may really have something there.
Well, and I would say this too, like another thing is Fulton himself. This is year 3 for him.
Yeah.
He was really good last year. Is there another level for him? I mean, he'll be 24 coming up in September. So it's not like he's getting old or anything. Like, can he take his game? I thought he was really good last year. Can he be great? Like, can he be a shutdown corner in this league? I don't know. Like, I'm really interested to find out what that looks like this year.
And that's the thing about this team. I would still make the case that cornerback is the 3rd most concerning position, just because I agree with Kaharski. I mean, it is a concern with Farley. You don't know. You're talking about a rookie, and you know, you also don't know with Molden. You don't know if Molden's going to take a big step. Like, there's still a lot of unknown and some decent, you know, you have Jackson and Screen as some solid, you know, veteran help, but you would rather those guys be just that, you know, veteran help. If they're out in the field a ton, you know, there's some limitations there. But if that's your 3rd most concerning position, then that's a pretty good football team.
Oh, and also
top to bottom.
And I'm not saying that these guys are superstars or anything, but depth wise, you do have Buster Screen, you do have Chris Jackson. Like, you've got some guys that have played significant snaps at that position that you feel okay about.
Yeah, the depth there actually, I mean, the depth there is better than at safety and inside linebacker.
Yeah.
But if you don't have starter quality players, I think you know you're going to have that at every other position. You don't know at corner.
Coming up next, it is time for The Choice is Yours. Robbie Stanley, myself, in the questions chair today. We'll get to that on the other side. This is Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Join 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and Newton Motor Group this summer to help kids in Middle Tennessee. We're teaming up with Souls for Souls to provide shoes to children experiencing homelessness in Nashville and the surrounding area for back to school. Our goal is to raise $20,000, which will provide 1,000 pairs of shoes for kids. To help, go to thegamenashville.com/shoes. Let's do some good this summer. Newton Motor Group is a proud sponsor of Souls for Music City. Newton Motor Group, the best car deals in Nashville. Start at Newton. Visit thegamenashville.com/shoes.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Mostly sunny and hazy today with an air quality alert out for ground level ozone, and it's going to be a warm one, high up to 94 degrees.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
The clock is ticking on Genesis Diamond's amazing finance offer. You have until 5 p.m. Saturday to take advantage of the hottest offer of the summer. 5 years, zero interest financing on practically everything in our showcases. Get in now and splurge. Maybe treat yourself. How about a stunning $12,000 designer ring, complete with a GIA diamond for just $200 a month? It's the smartest, easiest, and best way to buy. Nothing down and no interest for 5 years. But hurry, this incredible offer ends Saturday and will not be extended. Only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit.
At Total Wine & More, we're proud to have the lowest prices and the best case discount in Tennessee.
What? 16% off a case of wine?
Yeah, and you can get 9% off a case of spirits.
Wow.
With the lowest prices and the best case discount, Total Wine is the place to shop.
I'm gonna need another cart.
We'll always have the lowest prices in Tennessee, so love what you find at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly, B21.
CSX, a growing Fortune 500 logistics company, has immediate openings for freight train conductors. If you're looking for a rewarding career offering paid training at nearly $25 per hour, competitive benefits, and you share a passion for great service, apply today at csx.com/careers. That's csx.com/careers. CSX, committed to supporting military and veteran families and their communities. CSX is an equal opportunity employer.
Hello, Discover here to explain our cash back match. Here's how it works. We give you cash back for using your Discover card on the things you were going to buy anyway. Then we match that cash back in your first year. And that's why we call it Cash Back Match. Now to recap and say cash back one more time. We match all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year automatically. Discover. Exceptionally common sense. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply.
O'Reilly. This is Sarah's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
Driving cross country with 2 young children is ambitious, to say the least. Then our check engine light came on. We pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts and they tested it. Turned out it was a faulty sensor. They referred us to a great mechanic just down the street and we were back on the road in no time.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Darren McFarland.
I feel like we're a better playoff team.
Willie Donick.
You're in a window of a division you can win.
Chase McCabe.
I'm not signing him for more than $1 million.
The DDC. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode
On ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Here they come, yo. Here they come. Here they come, yo. Here they come. Here they come.
This or that. This or that. This or that. This or that. This or that.
And it is that time of the day, time for The Choice is Yours here on Robby and Rexrode. As always, we'll take your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. I am in the questions chair today. Would we like to begin with sports or non-sports?
Non-sports.
Non-sports? All right. Got the 4th of July coming up on Monday. The question very simply is, what is your favorite 4th of July tradition? That could involve activities, It could involve food. Take it however you want to take it.
Well, recent tradition in my neighborhood, we call it thunder.
Oh boy.
It's quite a fun time. It was like our first day here 6 years ago. It was like, oh wow. So there's like dunk tanks and slides and free beer. No kidding. And amazing fireworks. But I mean, my answer's got to be fireworks. And I'm not all that into them now. But as a kid, the excitement of buying fireworks, like fireworks, the shows are fine. But as a kid, like jumping jacks or lady fingers, Roman candles. I mean, massive. Oh yeah, massive excitement. And we'd bottle rockets, and of course we would do terrible kid things like shoot bottle rockets at each other and light entire things of jumping jacks and let them just fly around and see if they could hit your buddy in the head. Not great stuff, but that's got to be my answer.
Okay, Michelle.
So mine, I have 13 cousins, and we all live in upstate New York. All went to high school together. So every year we would go over to my grandparents, and since then we would do like the parade and everything like that. And then we've moved over to my aunts, so I'm so excited to go see them this week, and I get to be home. But it's basically all of us, just chilling by the pool, going to the parade, and it's all just walkable in their neighborhood. And then they do a huge fireworks show. But just like having, a cookout by the pool, just enjoying some sun and family time and drinking some beer.
There you go. Mine's by the pool too. I'm by the pool every July 4th. Hendersonville, they've got a Freedom Fest that they do every July 3rd. So I always enjoy that. It's a big festival that they do at Drakes Creek Park. So I'll be at that this weekend. Looking forward to that. And, Joe, typically I'm with you. Like, I'm a big fan of shooting my own fireworks. We spend an ungodly amount of money on fireworks every year. It is a little dry this year, so I'm not sure that's happening this year. Like, I don't want to burn my new house that I just bought on fire. So may not do that.
That's understandable. And I got to say, this is one of those do as I say, not as I do things as a parent, because as a kid, I was allowed to do all this fireworks stuff, and we kind of, I sort of stopped doing it with kids,
Yeah.
You can't even buy them in New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you can find them.
Well, you can find them. I know.
I know a guy. I give you a number.
Well, you can get them like somewhere else and shoot them off in New York, but you can't actually purchase them. It's weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to sports. In honor of Unrivaled, which we've talked a lot about this week here on the show, your favorite rivalry of all time. It could be individual rivalry, sports team rivalry, your favorite rivalry of all time. Joe, is it Colorado-Detroit?
It's awfully good. I think about that. I think so. It's like it's funny. This kind of goes to the fan media discussion because growing up as a fan, Avs, Wings. Pistons, Celtics, Pistons, Celtics, Pistons, Bulls. The Pistons Bulls wasn't as great. The Pistons won 3 of the 4 against Jordan. I gotta say, I'm gonna go on the media side. It's more media side because as a kid, I really was. As a kid, it was like whichever team is better is who I prefer to win. But as a media person, seeing a lot of this stuff up close, including some of the most unhinged, insane behavior from a human I've ever seen from Taylor Lewan in some of these games, the Michigan State football rivalry is, I think, underrated for what it is. A retiring Big Ten official once told me, I wrote this, I went to an officials convention. He's like, Michigan Ohio State is the rivalry everybody talks about. It's great. It's a big time game, but it's so much harder to officiate Michigan State. It's such a more physical game, so much more hatred. It's in state. You can't fake in state. There's a different level when you are living around people, and it's a constant complaint. And as a media member, being accused of being like part of the blue wall and Michigan conspiracy, it's got to be that. It's amazing. It really is great.
Michelle, your favorite rivalry of all time?
Okay, so as you guys know, in upstate New York, I have no professional teams near me, so I'm kind of just have like random ones all over. And I never was really, really invested, I would say, into a professional team. So my biggest rivalry, when I got to Kentucky, an SEC school, I was just fascinated at how intense the Louisville UK rivalry is. like Joe said, the in-state rivalries, especially at the college level, it's just really unlike no other. Like one team could be ranked top 5 and the other could not even be ranked, but it doesn't even matter. The rivalry, everyone shows out for those games. They're always so intense. Everyone travels. So that's definitely got to be mine. And I would just like to say, L's down, go BBM.
There you go. I have 3 answers. So I'll go through them real quick. Number 1, Tennessee, Florida, late 90s, early 2000s football. It's hard to beat. It was pretty awesome. It pretty much decided the SEC every year for a span there. So it's been a long time since we've seen those two at that level together. But late 90s, early 2000s, Tennessee, Florida was pretty awesome. So that's my college answer. Pro answer is definitely Packers, Bears, even though that hadn't been much of a rivalry as of late. As
yeah,
we know,
neither is Tennessee, Florida.
In full, well, that's true. Tennessee, Tennessee, Green Bay in full ownership of the Bears at this point. And then, of course, what I could only assume to be this time of year, Joe, the rivalry of Sydney and Melbourne in Australian rules football. I assume that it's incredible. So those are my 3.
So glad you mentioned that one.
Well,
yeah.
I just know what a big deal that is this time of year. All right, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Go ahead. I was going to take a shot at Calipari, but that's fine. We don't have time.
Back to sports. All right, which television game show would you most want to participate in and why? Which television game show would you most want to participate in and why? I'll start on this one. It's Family Feud, number 1, because I think I'd be really good at it. And number 2, because I'm not quite sure what my family would say. So that could either end up really poorly for us or it could go really well and we could put together a run on Family Feud. So Family Feud is my top answer.
The answer I'd like to be would be Jeopardy, because like I have this, like I'd do well, but I probably wouldn't do all that well. So the real answer, just because like chance of success, would be Wheel of Fortune. I absolutely crush Wheel of Fortune, crush it from my couch. So
Nashville legend Pat Sajak, by the way.
Well, also I used to have a poster of Vanna White as a child, not like as like a teenager. So
yeah, teenager. Don't say child.
Take that for yeah. Like as like a 13-year-old. So take that for what you will.
There you go.
So
Michelle?
I would like to say, Jeopardy too, but I just know I would be so incredibly bad. I'm so bad at trivia or any of that. Family Feud would be fun, but I feel like I would like swear or something and get really frustrated and fight with my family. But all my family members, friends make fun of me because I'm really like unathletic. So I would love to be on Wipeout. You guys know that show?
Oh, yeah.
And it's where you do all these insane, like you have like a life vest on and you do all this insane challenges and run over it. And I feel like I would just be great TV. Like I would love to watch it back and laugh at myself trying to do all of this stuff.
That's a good, I like that. That reminds me, real quick shout out, honorable mention, Double Dare.
Oh, yeah.
If you know, you know.
I don't know.
Could go Fear Factor. That'd be something.
Ew, there's some gross stuff on there.
That's the one I would stay away from. All right, last one. Other than A.J. Brown, which former Titan that has departed in the last 2 years do they or will they most miss? So A.J. Brown would be the obvious answer here, so you can't say him. Other than him, which former Titan that has departed in the last 2 years do they or will they most miss? So you could include Roger Saffold in that if you wanted to. Joe, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I do look at this year and I look at this roster and I say, man, Corey Davis could help this team a lot.
I thought about that.
But I think I'm going to go with Saffold. Not 100% all the time, increasingly injury concerns. And go back and watch some of those games last year and what he was doing, just utterly just clearing people out and multiple people out, huge lanes. I mean, the guy is a freak as a run blocker. And it's just, he fits what they do so well. He's a cap casualty is what he is. And I get it. But I think they're going to really miss him.
Michelle?
Yeah, Roger Saffold was the first person who came to mind for me, especially with the big question mark on the O-line this year. I'm going to go Roger Saffold pretty much for everything Joe said.
Okay. I thought Saffold is in consideration. Jonnu Smith to me is a guy that I know they've got Hooper now, and you feel good about it, but we still have not seen Austin Hooper on the field in a game for the Titans yet. So Jonnu Smith is going to be my answer. I did think about, but I think the 2-year window has now passed. Like Ryan Suckup was literally, I was thinking about that, but I think it's been more than 2 years now. So
it has been, but it lives on.
It does.
Although Big Bone Randy,
Randy will be fine.
Has helped cushion the blow a bit.
Yeah, no question about it. This has been The Choice Is Yours. You can check it out every Wednesday at 8:45 here on Robby and Rexrode. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Jim Diamond from the Associated Press. We'll get his thoughts on the Predators, the Philip Forsberg contract situation, and maybe some moves the Predators could make this offseason. All that ahead. This is Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Heads up. 106.3 FM is a new way to hear 102.5 The Game from downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and on I-24 to Murfreesboro. Make sure you have that preset on your radio dial. We're making it even easier to listen to Nashville's best sports talk. This is going to be awesome. It's like, yes. Tune in to 106.3.
That's what makes this team better.
And hear the difference.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Motley Crue, Def Leppard, the Stadium Tour, a once-in-a-lifetime event with Poison and Joan Jett of the Blackhearts. This Thursday night, Nissan Stadium. Tickets on sale now at LiveNation.com or at the Nissan Stadium box office. Motley Crue, Def Leppard, the Stadium Tour.
Erectile dysfunction ruins sex, but it's more than that. It harms otherwise good relationships. It destroys marriages. It can cause depression and anxiety, and it can be extremely hard on a man's self-esteem. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if you're suffering with ED, if it's affecting you, I want you to know that if you're like most men, we can treat it and get you back to the man you used to be. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we're ED experts. Our protocols have success rates as high as 90%. We've successfully treated thousands of men in the Music City, and we have a variety of treatment options and treatment combinations that could have you performing like you haven't in years. You could even last up to an hour and experience great sex again that is satisfying for both you and your partner. In treating your health, expertise matters, so make an appointment today. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
7.5 million children in Ukraine need to find water and shelter. They need a place to sleep and comfort in the dark. Show them the world cares. Support UNICEF. UNICEFUSA.org/action.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with expertise and tools with Windows 11 to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. To do more with a Latitude laptop, Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Looking good, Mrs. Dubs.
The head groundskeeper at Thad's Golf Course just retired.
We need to find someone in the next 2 weeks. Someone with botany and management experience.
He needs a replacement because the greens are already looking a little rough.
Aeration, they need to know it all.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball. The leading receiver.
Awesome game 7.
Checker flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Final hour, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic, intern Hanley here with you on this Wednesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. And we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Jim Diamond, who covers the Predators for the Associated Press. Jim, what's going on, brother? How we doing?
Robert, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
We're great. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. So, Jim, let's just start on the Philip Forsberg part of this. We're about 2 weeks away now from free agency beginning in the NHL. Still no deal for Forsberg and the Predators. What's your concern level at this point if you're a Predators fan, and how do you see this playing out between David Poile and his team and Forsberg and his representatives?
Yeah, I would not be optimistic if I'm a Predators fan, and I'm not. Not that I've ever been accused of being one, but I just don't understand the from all the reports circulating and everything, why this hasn't been done. If he's willing to come back and is not asking for an exorbitant amount of money, I just can't fathom why this deal wouldn't be done. Whether it's a no trade clause or something else, it's just strange to me that usually in situations like this, flashing way back to like the Suter time, you could tell the player didn't want to come back, but by all accounts, Forsberg is willing and wants to. So there's just something missing that I can't put together, and seemingly nobody else can either.
So you're not optimistic. So you don't think Poile is just going to ultimately buckle in the end? Because that's kind of how I think it's going to go, without knowing, obviously.
I mean, he's been down this road before. What's the necessity, or what's the motivation for him to hold out this long before buckling? I mean, it doesn't sound like money would be that far off, unless they're really trying to lowball Forsberg, which I think would be just general manager malpractice. So, they've had, way more time than needed to get something done if both sides are in agreement that they want to come back and are reasonably close on money. I mean, the structure can take some time, but that shouldn't be a stumbling block. So I think he's not going to be back.
Jim, Forsberg aside, as you start to identify needs for this team, obviously it's crucial to get him back. And if you don't, I mean, you're in just a way different spot as a team. But let's just say, for sake of argument, he does come back. How would you identify what the checklist is for David Poile and the Predators as they view and try to upgrade this team in the offseason? Be that top 4 on defense, backup goalie, top 6 forward. Like, how would you rank kind of the needs that they have heading into the offseason?
Sure. I mean, I think everybody saw that beyond their first line and then whichever, of the top 4 forwards didn't fall into the first line, they just didn't have the horses on the second line. So they do need secondary scoring from their second line. I think their third line is decent. I know they like to, call that their team's identity and everything, but if you're priding yourself on, your team's identity being the third line, you're not scoring any goal. So they definitely need support from either within. The cupboard looks kind of bare as far as prospects and everything are concerned, as best I can tell. So they have money to spend. I know Forsberg's going to eat up a significant amount of money, but I guess I should have looked. I think they have like $25 million to spend.
It's close to it.
Yeah. They need scoring. They do need a backup goaltender. Whether if Connor Ingram can do that job, he's cheap. That's great. And then defense, I'm puzzled by the Jeremy Lauzon signing. I mean, he's okay, but I don't know if I go 4 years at $2 million per for him. I mean, they did that, so it's done. But I just think as Yossi and Ekholm, move from their early 30s toward their mid 30s, they're going to need people to take minutes off of them. So kind of the revolving door they've had in their third D pairing the last several years. I don't think that's great for long-term stability or ideal usage of guys like Yossi and Ekholm. So, Fabro and Carrier, real good, but they do need some more help on the back end as well. So I'd say second line, and then another decent defenseman or two would be at the top of my list with that kind of money.
Jim, I'm eager for your analysis, preferably in haiku form, but it's not necessary. But just your analysis of the ownership situation, Bill Haslam gradually becoming majority owner. What is the significance of this, you think, short term and long term? And what did you think of that when you first heard it?
I was surprised because usually when a team is on the market, if you will, there's rumblings. But from all reports from the press conference that I was not invited to last week, it sounded like somebody just called him and said, "Hey, are you interested in owning the Predators?" And he said yes. So I think it's great to have a local owner. I mean, having been here through they're going to move to Hamilton years. Selfishly, I enjoy covering hockey, and I'm glad that that there won't be any sort of ownership or relocation or any kind of issues like that. But as much as Haslam is a different person than his brother, I think there's still going to be rumblings over how his brother has handled his sports team ownership. So. Hopefully there's nothing along those lines that eke in here, but I think it's good that there's maybe somebody a little bit more public facing as an owner, because we just haven't had conversations with this ownership group. They really haven't been made available to talk or comment on things. So I would hope somebody like Haslam, who is kind of used to being in the public eye with microphones and recorders and reporters in front of them, will be a little more available to us to kind of speak to the organization as he generally acquires majority ownership.
Jim Diamond from the Associated Press on with us here on Robby and Rexrode. So, Jim, a lot of talk last week after the Norris Trophy voting came out about the PHWA and the voting process and everything that goes into that. David Poyle talked about it last week, how he's not a big fan of the way the vote turned out, obviously, with Roman Josi not winning the Norris Trophy. I'm just curious from you, from somebody that's voted on awards for a long time, what do you make of the process, and what did you make of one person leaving Roman Josi entirely off the Norris Trophy ballot?
Yeah, I mean, I respect the process. I guess as somebody who's inside that, maybe I'm not the best, judge of that. But when there's it's supposed to be 200 people, but ended up being 195 ballots, you should get a fairly representative, result as the case. I don't think anybody is going to say, Roman Josi is better than Cale Makar, or Roman Josi is worse than Cale Makar, or should have won the trophy, or it was close. I mean, I went back and forth for a while before I submitted my ballot. I had Josi on top, but Cale Makar may be the best player in the National Hockey League at any position right now. So the playoffs for sure illustrated that to people, but and we saw it firsthand in the series here, as brief as it was. So I'm not sure what, how they would like the process to be altered. Somebody not thinking Roman Josi was one of the best, the top 5 defensemen in the NHL this year is just malpractice. There's no justification anyone can give me or show me to say that he wasn't one or two. I mean, I'll listen to Victor Hedman or Charlie McAvoy's maybe being in the top 2, but leaving somebody off of the ballot is just inexcusable as far as I'm concerned.
Real fast, Jim, since I think we may have started a media war today, which is very exciting.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
No, yeah, it's great. So Alex Doherty is tweeting at Paul Kaharski now because we had Kaharski on, basically saying like everyone in the Preds press box is a homer, which I immediately jumped to the defense of Skrbina. But actually, if you go down that entire press row, I'm trying to find a homer. Do you think that Preds media has a homerism problem?
Are you talking about like voting media?
No, I'm not just
like this. I mean,
this is in reference to like the Avs media
parading around with the Stanley Cup.
Right.
Yeah, that's inexcusable too, if you ask me. I don't think there is a homerism problem. I think they're, the Predators have been very open to, bloggers and, for years, even before other teams did that. So I think a lot of the blogger sphere comes from the fan base. So I think there may be some, truth to that to a degree, but I don't sit there and think that anybody isn't fair in balancing their coverage. I mean, honestly, I don't read them all, but you don't see people blowing smoke in up players, or coaches in press conferences or anything. So, I don't see it. I've gotten yelled at plenty of times to show that I'm not one, but as far as those of us who vote on the awards, definitely not. But I also wouldn't be parading. I wouldn't also be parading around with the Stanley Cup over my head and a cigar in my mouth if they won the cup. I mean, there's no danger of this happening anytime soon. So, I'm not super concerned about it.
Jim Diamond, beautiful stuff. Jim Diamond from the Associated Press, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Jimmy, great stuff as always. Appreciate you taking time to be with us. All
right, always a pleasure. Love you, boys.
All righty. We'll take your thoughts. 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. More on the Preds coming up next. You can listen for the Casino Sounder today through Friday, and when you hear it, text Bally to 615-737-1025 and be qualified to play the grand prize roulette wheel. All qualifiers will receive a number on the wheel, and the winner will be revealed during the noon hour with the DDC. The winner will then have 10 minutes and 25 seconds to call in to win the grand prize, a summertime casino getaway to Bally's in Evansville. Must be 21 or older to enter. Official rules and more information at thegamenashville.com/Bally. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5"
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Do I need Medicare when I turn 65, or can I wait?
With more than 70 years of experience helping Tennesseans, Farm Bureau Health Plans can answer all your questions about Medicare.
Part A, B, C, D, it's all alphabet soup to me.
So if you're looking for an affordable way to cover the gaps left by Medicare or protection from the high cost of prescription drugs, you can plan on us to make it easy. Find out more at fbhp.com. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Plan on us.
Hey, Willie Donick here. Are you feeling the sting of higher interest rates and higher costs? Those credit cards and other loans are costing more and more every month, and inflation is making everything else more expensive. Your home can save you right now. Your home value is up, and there's a ton of cash in it that you can access with Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto specializes in zero-cost cash-out home refis. You can get tens of thousands in as little as 2 weeks. Pay off those 23% rate credit cards and other loans. Consolidate everything into one super low payment. People who do this usually cut $800 or more from their monthly budget. If your home mortgage rate goes up a point or so, it's offset by your credit card rate going to zero. So call Loan Pronto now and unlock that equity and wipe out the bad debt. Do it now. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Ever wonder what toys do when people aren't around? With the Nashville Symphony performing the score live, Disney Pixar's Toy Story answers that question with a fantastic, fun-filled journey, viewed mostly through the eyes of 2 rival toys. Woody, the lanky, likable cowboy, and Buzz Lightyear, the fearless space ranger. Toy Story in concert with the Nashville Symphony, July 8th through the 10th, including a Sunday matinee performance. Presented by Disney Concerts. Get your tickets now at NashvilleSymphony.org.
Summer heat is here. How is your air conditioner holding up? Costs are rising everywhere. Grocery bills, gas bills, utility bills, you name it, up, up, up. Is your AC old, inefficient, costing more than it should? Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Qualified buyers have up to 72 months. No interest for a new York air conditioner and 6 months no interest for repairs. That's at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling All new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. That's at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, a York certified comfort expert company. Schedule now at springhillac.com.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics wants to thank their patients for voting them the #1 orthopedic practice in the Nashville Scene Poll for 3 years in a row. Their physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, and other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all physicians, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
Well, you've got the whole world listening. What do you got to say? Never miss a moment of the show. Subscribe to the Robby and Rexrode podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
IndyCar is back. Single-day tickets for the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, August 5th through the 7th, are on sale now at 10 a.m. today. So just a few minutes from now, they'll be on sale. You can enjoy racing, live music, and one big party. Visit MusicCityGP.com for more information. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Wednesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Joe, there is a Twitter war currently taking place between Preds media and Paul Kaharski after his comments earlier on the show about Preds homerism in the media.
Yay, us. All right, let's get this going. So I look at Alex's tweet to Paul, and he's very angry. And I think he said Paul is spreading inflammatory BS. That is what he said, yes. Let me read the tweet. Here, this is Alex Doherty's tweet.
Let's be careful reading the tweet, but yes.
Yes. Here's at Paul Kersey NFL, a man who hasn't stepped foot in the Preds press box and knows jack about hockey, spreading inflammatory BS, although it's spelled out, about Nashville media again via at Joe Rexrode and at Robby Stanley. And now, so first of all, I replied, I screwed up when Paul said that, because I should have, probably been more outraged by his stupid comment, but also I produce Scorbina, well,
I should have probably said something too, but in my mind, when I think about what he was talking about there, I was thinking day to day on the road, going everywhere, covering the team. And that just, the last couple of years, that's dwindled down.
Well, I mean, I would say, because we've gotten to the point now, certainly Adam, Vingan did not travel for a lot of trips, and I don't think Scorbino went to all of them. We've gotten away from really beat writers going on all the trips. So in a lot of cases, you'd have the person, you'd have Brooks who works for the. So look, if you work for the team, then yes, I would agree with you. You're probably a homer. If you work for the team, I'd say that's different. But Kaharski said that, and I said, "Come on, Scorbino." But let me just go down press row this year on a night that you and I went. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. From right to left, you got Vingan, you got me, you got Gentry Estes and Paul Scorbina, both from the Tennessean. You got John Glennon, you got Teresa Walker and Jim Diamond from the AP. You got Alex Doherty from A to Z Sports. You can go Sean C. Smith, who works with him. Sometimes you'd have Justin Bradford as well. Who am I forgetting? I don't want to forget anybody.
It just depends on the night.
But, Abigail Martin works with him.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you go down that, come on, man. I mean, think about how, when you go through the press row, think about how dumb Kaharski's comment was. It's just objectively idiotic. It really is. And so I screwed up by not just doing what I just did right there as soon as he said it. It's ridiculous.
I did not expect him to go down that road. I thought we were about to get some big lesson in today's state of the media, and he just went right to Preds media. So I didn't expect him to do that.
And again,
but it started a war on Twitter. That's good.
Yeah. So Paul now is asking the question: are you a fan of the team, Alex? So Jim says, did Paul ever do social media for the Golden Knights?
Oh God.
So it's just Paul's better than that. I mean, really, Paul is better than making a comment, a blanket comment like that when press row is actually loaded with people who are not remotely fans or homers of the team. So anyway, I guess now we can let this continue on Twitter. It should be good. Get your popcorn.
Do you think homerism is a big problem in 2022's state of sports media?
Well, I think that, yeah, I think it's there, but I think there's still plenty of options for people, who want to follow a team. And I think any significant college and pro team, you can find objective people, or, no one's truly objective, right? Let's all agree with that. Like, listen, let me be honest. I've said this before. I mean, I grow to like or dislike people sometimes. And so that, like you're never totally objective, but people are going to do a professional job covering your team for you and aren't going to be like too emotional about it, which I think is important. But some people like emotional. Listen, college teams, you can find people.
Oh, yeah.
You can find people who are big time homers and you can find people who are basically like helping coaches recruit for your team. Okay. And sometimes those people have some of the best information available. I mean, there are scoops to be had if you are basically on the team, talking to recruits, helping. I mean, this is a thing with college football. There's no doubt about it. Big college football programs, I could go into any press corps and pick out 2 or 3 people like, okay, so basically on the payroll of the team. And those people get information. So, and some fans want that plus the constant positive spin about everything. And that's fine if that's what you want. But those teams also have plenty of people who don't do it that way. Most people don't do it that way. So it's a problem, but it hasn't overtaken it and never will.
I don't think so either. I mean, it is a problem. Look, I have seen people come in here from Colorado, Detroit. I mean, you can go up and down the list of people I've seen at Bridgestone Arena that when like something happens, like I've seen some cheering in the press box. We had this big thing with the Vegas Golden Knights in here one time, and their social media guy talked about like Preds media members clapping in the press box, when in all actuality, because of the way the Preds press box is set up, it was like fans down low at the desk and some Preds employees that were clapping when they scored a goal. So it was a little bit different, but like there's a certain level of homerism that you could find probably in any press corps if you look deep enough, but by and large, like it's fine here.
Yeah, and this does bring a Tennessean column to mind. Okay, I'm gonna that I wrote on August 11th, 2016. Okay. So if we think we have a problem, I'm gonna read this to you. Okay, this is my column from Rio. Quote: I don't want to generalize about any group of people, including sports writers from China, but my God, what a bunch of homers. Hey, guys sitting next to me on press row in the Olympic Aquatic Center, do you really have to stand, clutch one another, do a little hop together, and blurt out cheers of encouragement when a Chinese swimmer nears the finish of a close race? A preliminary race! It's in all caps. 4 years ago in London, a group of Chinese journalists huddled around a TV at the swimming venue and screamed it as the race concluded. At least one cried tears of joy. Why were they watching on TV, you ask? Because the TV was in the mixed zone, which is where media get athletes after competitions and on and on and on. Anyway, bottom line, the whole point of this was that journalists from other countries covering the Olympics and many other countries. This was in particular about, some journalists from China watching swimming. But as I went on, like, people are hugging the athletes in the mix zone and crying and like, I mean, like, so in this country, we are more objective, I would argue, than any other country covering sports. So yay, America. Go America. July, that's right. America as the 4th of July approaches.
That's correct. We'll continue to take your thoughts. 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. We'll get into the Forsberg situation coming up next. I thought some pretty strong comments from Jim Diamond earlier in the hour about his thoughts on Forsberg as well. We'll get to that on the other side. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
If If you're on the road between downtown Nashville,
they're still in good shape to make the playoffs,
and I-840.
Players make it clear they don't want to be somewhere anymore.
There's a new way to hear all your favorite shows and sports programming on 102.5 The Game.
I go back to that play and I shake my head. What I was worried about is that they were still just going to keep the goal.
It's 106.3 FM.
Think about all the good Titans teams. This is very much so a run-first offense.
Now you have two choices to hear Nashville's best sports talk. Check out 106.3 now and add it as a favorite.
The first 1,000 fans to the Nashville Sounds game tonight get a Hit City clear backpack. You can snag a $10 general admission ticket right now. Plus, it's a winning Wednesday. So if the Sounds win, all fans get to run the bases after the game. Grab your tickets today at NashvilleSounds.com.
If you suffer from joint pain, from arthritis, or an injury, you know the traditional treatments, pain meds, steroids, and then surgery, right? Willie Donick here with great news. Now there's a better way, and it's here now from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. This is an advanced, exciting, and natural alternative that can give you lasting relief using your body's own healing power. Listen, steroid shots are toxic to your joints. Pain meds can be addictive, and nobody wants to go under the knife. It's 2022, and those old ways are out. The new way is in. Regenerative medicine, restoring and repairing damaged joint tissue using natural biologics. No drugs, no downtime, no surgery. QC Kinetics and their protocols can address any pain in any joint and give you the quality of life you deserve. So call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics now. 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
The clock is ticking on Genesis Diamond's amazing finance offer. You have until 5 p.m. Saturday to take advantage of the hottest offer of the summer. 5 years, zero interest financing on practically everything in our showcases. Get in now and splurge. Maybe treat yourself. How about a stunning $12,000 designer ring, complete with a GIA diamond for just $200 a month? It's the smartest, easiest, and best way to buy. Nothing down and no interest for 5 years. But hurry, this incredible offer ends Saturday and will not be extended. Only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit.
We here at 102.5 and 106.3 The Game are looking for our next great executive producer. Hey, it's Chase McCabe, the program director. If you think that's you and you think that you have the experience, the drive, and of course you share that love of sports, send your resume and cover letter to together@cromwellmedia.com.
I'll second guest dinners with friends because they can be interrupted by diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or oily stools. It turns out I have EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, which means I'm missing the enzymes needed to digest food. My doctor prescribed Creon, pancrelipase, an oral prescription medication that replaces pancreatic digestive enzymes. Creon treats EPI due to cystic fibrosis, chronic pancreatitis, pancreatectomy, or other conditions.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you're allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor and always with food. Do not chew capsules as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon.
Creon is the #1 prescribed EPI treatment. Ask your doctor about Creon for EPI and visit creoninfo.com or call 800-633-9110 to learn more. That's CREONinfo.com.
Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN.
Welcome into the DDC.
Stomach Company is delivered. There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators. Scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey Nashville, this is David Price. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tune in for Nashville Sounds Baseball tonight at 7:05 on 94.9 The Fan as the Sounds face the Indianapolis Indians, the AAA affiliate of the Pittsburgh Pirates at First Horizon Park. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza and Farm Bureau Health Plans. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Joe, we had Jim Diamond on the show to begin the 9 o'clock hour, and he seemed rather pessimistic about the Predators' chances to sign Philip Forsberg, and basically said, you know, if it hadn't been done yet, he has very great skepticism as to whether or not it'll be done in the next 2 weeks. What did you think of Jim Diamond's take on Philip Forsberg and his contract situation? And as you factor in everything together over the last couple of days in terms of, the Frank Saravalli report from Daily Faceoff about apparently Forsberg's side of things asking for in the low 8s in terms of the annual average value. Jared Stillman talked about yesterday on Stillman and Company how he heard that report wasn't true. What do you make of this entire Forsberg saga over the last couple of days as we get closer and closer to free agency with just over 2 weeks remaining? I think 2 weeks from tomorrow, the official date.
Yeah, lost in the Homer media fight, which, by the way, Paul Karhusky has largely walked back his comments on Twitter. That's a big deal for Paul. Very, very proud of you, Paul. Is that the fact
that was a big day for Paul?
Yeah, I think we've really we've got Paul a little self-reflection today on the show, along with just light a match and let it all burn, and we'll all stand here and enjoy it. But lost in that was what I thought was a pretty surprising take from Jim on Forsberg, and I have high respect for Jim Diamond. If we're going to continue to further break down like the press corps in different ways, like I think of like you, Jim, Ving, like hockey people who I look to for, deeper insight at times than I have. And I was surprised to hear that from Jim. I don't agree with him. I think they're going to get it done. But I must say, when he said that, I was like, am I thinking of this wrong? Should I go from 88 down to 43? I don't know. Tell me, Robby, what to do.
Well, look, I mean, I think there's always in negotiations like this, like we can talk about, and I think this gets overblown sometimes. Like everybody always talks about, well, does Forsberg want to be here? Or does he not want to be here? Does player X want to be there or do they not? Well, it's never really as simple as that. Like I'm sure that Philip Forsberg wants to be here, but if the offer is not close, he's not going to be here. Like he's not just going to take any deal. And I think sometimes that gets lost in this discussion. So like until it's signed on the dotted line, like there's always room for skepticism. That's like when Jared says that he's 100% and then yesterday moved to 101%. Like I just think that's ridiculous because he's not signed the contract yet. So how could you be at 100%? But like I would still say the totality of this week leaves me more encouraged that he's going to sign here. It just does. Like I always have thought that he will sign here, but you went from 54% to 88 yesterday or whatever it was. I'm probably still, I've moved up from 50. I'm probably in the high 60s at this point, but I have seen negotiations before that don't look like they'll ever get done. And I've seen negotiations before in professional sports where you feel like it's a formality that it's going to get done at some point that never work out. Like, we talked about Freddie Freeman yesterday, right? Like all season last year, I was like, well, there's no way that Freddie Freeman is going to leave the Braves ever. Like, it's just not going to happen. And then here we are. He's a member of the LA Dodgers. Now, he may still think that he's on the Braves based on some of the comments that he's made. But like, I say all that to say you never fully know. Like anything can happen. So like, I totally understand a Predators fan sitting here on June 29th and looking around and saying, all right, you're 2 weeks away from free agency. Like you've got 2 weeks to figure this out. And there's no indication anywhere that you're close. Like that would be pretty concerning to me. I just still believe at the end of the day, David Poile is going to have to do this. Like he knows what the blowback is going to be if he doesn't get it done.
Yes. And, saying 100 is hyperbolic because you don't know. There's two things. Well, yeah, there's two things from the Forsberg side that I don't know for sure. I think he wants to be here. I think we'd all agree on that. But I don't know for sure that he's wanting to be here no matter what. I mean,
yeah, like I don't think that that's the case.
Right. So, but listen, if you're 100, I think you must think that's the case. That basically you're just like, yeah, I'll take it to the end, and he'll come to where we are, and then it'll be done. But I'm definitely, in my mind, I'm here. I don't know that that's the case. I don't know that Forsberg doesn't find some intrigue in some other possible destinations. I don't know how much that might be tied to his own doubts about how competitive the Preds are going to be in the next few years. I don't know those things, but I think you have to allow some possibility for that. The other thing that made me question this is just whether he was asking for absolutely ridiculous amounts of money because he thought he could, and maybe he has an idea, an inkling of a team out there that was going to pay him ridiculous amounts of money as a free agent. So that's where my confidence went up with the Saravalli report. But of course, Jared had a source yesterday, gave him some information that that's not true, and also that the no movement clause is not a thing. So the second part of that, if that's true, like they have that figured out, then that to me that's significant.
Sure.
Also, the it's not true. They still don't have we don't know the range. I mean, if Saravalli was speaking out of turn there, or JP Barry was putting information out that's inaccurate there, or whatever the case may be, then, well, I guess really you could say, I guess my confidence level should probably go down a little bit from there, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, the other part of this that's intriguing to me, because I've heard Jared and Caroline talking about this too, like the idea, and I don't necessarily disagree with this part of it, like, walking away from talking with Herb Fritz last week, David Poyle, I think pretty clearly is on solid ground with the ownership group. Like, I think the fan base, some of the fan base, feels a certain way about David Poyle that I'm just not sure reflects in ownership. Like, they're very confident in David Poyle. So basically, like, Jared's point has been, well, what is the consequence for David Poyle if Philip Forsberg doesn't sign? Like, in other words, like, how motivated is David Poyle really to come to the other side of the table for Forsberg, given the fact that in Jared's mind, like, there's not going to be a consequence if he doesn't get the deal done. Like, fans are going to be really mad, but it's not like David Poyle is going to lose his job if Philip Forsberg doesn't sign. My counter argument to that is, like, it's pretty clear that David Poyle wants to win a Stanley Cup before he's done being the general manager of the hockey team. And you can't convince me that losing Philip Forsberg, regardless of what else you do outside of maybe signing Johnny Gaudreau, which I just think is a pipe dream for the Predators, like, you can't convince me that that is a good model of getting you to a Stanley Cup one day, just losing out on Philip Forsberg. Like, I guess you could just totally go in the tank, but I don't think David Poyle or the Predators ownership have any interest in doing that whatsoever.
Well, I agree. And beyond that, I mean, Jared and I argued yesterday on the point of Poyle. Look, I agree that Herb Fritz's comments kind of confirmed really what we all assume, but it's good to get the ownership group actually speaking. Took a pretty significant news event for that to happen. But I agree that was an expression of confidence, and also I'm a healthcare guy, he's a hockey guy, all that stuff. Right. But my argument to that is, okay, fine, I agree. Like, if Poyle loses Forsberg, there's not going to be some immediate firing. But if it starts to show itself in performance and you get zero postseason revenue the next year, and then there's really no disputing that you're going backward, I did not take Herb Fritz's comments as there's zero scenario where David Poyle would be in trouble. I think you're making a big leap there. And to your point, is Poyle still doing this job just because he wants to keep the job and not get fired? No, he's doing this because he's chasing something that he doesn't have, that he's spent his entire career chasing. He cares about legacy just like most people, and he cares about that achievement. And so it is a huge deal to him, whether he's quote unquote safe or not. It's a huge deal to achieve that. That way outweighs job security as a motivation.
We'll continue to take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. More of your thoughts on Philip Forsberg coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Mostly sunny and hazy today with an air quality alert out for ground level ozone, and it's going to be a warm one, high up to 94 degrees.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Celebrate July 4th with huge deals from Electronic Express. Save big on summer necessities from brands like Charbroil, Yeti, Samsung, GE, Sony, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. Computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, and more. Save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com and get free express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
As in all human conflict, adults fight and children suffer. Today, 7.5 million children in Ukraine need to find water and shelter. They need safety in school. They need a place to sleep and comfort in the dark. Show them the world cares. Support UNICEF on the ground in Ukraine. We won't stop until every child is safe. UNICEFUSA.org/action.
It's watching the top players take the ice. It's hard-fought games that end in victory. It's showing your favorite team to your favorite people. Secure your seats for the 2022-23 Nashville Predators season today to ensure you never miss a game at Bridgestone Arena. Plus, enjoy Nashville locker room discounts, exclusive presale offers, and more. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets. Join the Loyal Legion today and paint the town Preds. That's NashvillePredators.com/season tickets. NashvillePredators.com/season tickets.
At Boost Mobile, you get the power of the iPhone SE when you switch, which means the power to stream your favorite shows, download all the music, the power to FaceTime your ex.
It's over. Stop calling me.
On second thought, don't call your ex. Get an iPhone SE for just $19.99 when you switch, all on one of America's largest 5G networks. More power to save. Boost Mobile. Phone offer limited to new customers and one per line. Additional restrictions apply. 5G not available everywhere. See boostmobile.com for details. And stop calling your ex. She doesn't want to hear from you anymore.
Looking good, Mrs. Dubs.
The head groundskeeper at Thad's Golf Course just retired.
We need to find someone in the next 2 weeks. Someone with botany and management experience.
He needs a replacement because the greens are already looking a little rough.
Water and aeration. They need to know it all.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Jared Stillman.
If you get 3 games where he doesn't turn the ball over, you're going to the Super Bowl.
Caroline Fenton.
I don't know if he would be open to joining another team.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Final segment of the day here on Robby and Rexrode 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic, intern Hanley here with you on this Wednesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. So this Twitter battle is quite something.
I'm enjoying it.
Fired up here.
I'm enjoying it. Teresa's getting in there. Teresa's taking some shots, baby. We need I want a Teresa Walker Parkerhush. I feel like Teresa Walker yelling at Parkerhush would be fun. I'd like that to happen sometime. But also, shout out to Michael Gallagher, another guy I forgot. See, this is the problem. You go do one of these.
You never think of everybody at the same time.
You're going to list everybody, and you're going to forget people. And our TV, we have great TV reporters in this town too. They're not out there cheerleading for the teams. I mean, it's pretty bad. I feel as though I failed today to properly shout down the take in the moment, but we are still being treated to this lovely Twitter battle. So carry on, everybody.
Viking Matt on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, okay, if they sign Forsberg, what's the next move after? Because we need more than him. This coming from Viking Matt on the text line, who, friend of the show, we've mentioned Viking Matt today. Good to note you're still with us.
Yes. He had some more. We had some more back and forth after the Rex rant, but we're cool. Agree to disagree. That's okay. You can do that in life. Yeah, that's the thing.
Well, let me throw out some names.
Get into that.
So you've got Forsberg that you got to get figured out, but I agree. There are other holes on the team that you're going to have to fill. So let's just think about some of these names, the age associated with them, and the price that's going to take place. Like Claude Giroux. he longtime member of the Flyers. He just played for the Panthers. You know, he went down to Florida. He had 23 points in 18 games in the regular season with the Panthers. Like, are you interested in Claude Giroux at his age, at that price? Everybody talks about Nazem Kadri as well. Nazem Kadri is 31 years old. He just put up 87 points in 71 games and was huge in the playoffs for the Avs as well. He's probably going to make a lot of money. Like, there are some people out there that think that he's going to get a 7-year contract from somebody. I think if you give Nazem Kadri a 7-year contract when he'll be 32 next year, that you're nuts. So, like, if you're the Predators, do you really want to put yourself in a bidding war for that? I mean, there's Trocheck out there from the Hurricanes. I haven't even got the defense yet. Klingberg's out there. Letang at the moment is out there. I mean, Ben Sherratt is out there. Like, there's a lot of different ways you could go with it. You know, Nichushkin is out there. How much money is he going to make? You know, Phil Kessel at his age. Like, the question is, if you're the Predators, like, do you want to get yourself involved with some of these guys that are on the other side of 30? Like, what is the price that you're willing to pay for some of these free agents? Because there's a lot of good free agents out there. There's also a lot of old free agents out there as well. And I wonder what the approach for David Poile and the Predators, after you've just spent the last 2 years basically doing nothing but getting younger. Like, are you gonna load up on some veteran contracts now at this point? I don't know. I'm interested to see how that works out.
I am too. You laid it out pretty well. As time goes on, I more and more embrace the idea that Poile has a specific and pretty significant trade in mind.
Yeah.
And I can't sit here and guess what it is. But I think that in a few weeks, we're going to be talking about a significant player in some package of prospects, picks, whatever, moving for a significant player coming back. That's what I think is going to happen this summer. I think that's part of his plan.
I think that it could be. And look, I have no inside information on this or anything, but
no,
like, I brought up the draft for a reason. Like, David Poile has not been afraid in the past to make some moves on draft day. And I would be interested to see, like, you know, he made the James Neal trade on draft day. The conversations that led to the PK Subban Shea Weber trade happened on draft day. Like, draft day, especially now when everybody's back together for the first time in a couple of years, like, you can have some pretty important conversations and get some deals done on draft day. That's why I think in a perfect world, you'd like to have the Forsberg situation figured out one way or the other by the time the draft comes around, which, by the way, is on July 7th.
I'll say this on the Forsberg front too, with that, because at the very moment, like, Caroline Fenton is asking me where my percentages come from, and I'll just tell you, Carol, I was going to text her back, but like, this is a very, very specific mathematical formula. It's hard to explain. There's an algorithm and all that.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I'm going to be like, we're talking, like Speedo Hammock at the time, but if we get to July 8th, I'm 88 or 89 goes down to like in the 20s for me, maybe. Because I think maybe the 40s, maybe back to 43, because then I think, Poile, that means Poile, like, needing to have the right to know what is going to happen, needing to get there before you get to that point. So you can maneuver with full clarity. If you don't get to that point and get it done, then it just tells me that like, it may not. Jim Diamond may be right.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's that chance, and then that's the other scenario here. Like, let's say you don't get a deal done with Forsberg. Well, what do you do then? Because you're gonna have over $20 million of cap space, which is great, but what do you go spend it on? Like, do you try to get in the Nazem Kadri sweepstakes? Do you just go a full blitz for Johnny Gaudreau? Like, are you prepared to offer Johnny Gaudreau like $10.5 million a year? I don't know. I don't know what you do if Forsberg's not a part of it. I mean, there are some out there that say you get Forsberg and then you still go for Johnny Gaudreau, which that eats up a whole lot of your cap if you do that. But I guess you could if you're the Predators and David Poile. Like, I'm interested to see, because I agree. Like, there is going to be, even if Forsberg gets re-signed, there is going to be another move, I think, whether it's via trade or free agency, that's pretty significant that the Predators make. I think you have to this offseason.
By the way, bringing up the still go after Gaudreau, I should shout out to Willie Donick, who after our show yesterday pointed out accurately, there, because we were talking about the cap, the exact space. There are a lot of these little contracts that you have to factor in. So it's hard to know the exact number, but there is also some movement possible on some of these things. And, maybe some tough choices on veterans that you wanted to bring back, but you're just going to go super young and cheap if you want to try to go make another big ad on top of signing Forsberg.
I'll tell you what, man, there's one guy that is a free agent that I'm interested to see. Number one, if he ends back up in Tampa, but if I'm the Predators, if he doesn't, I'd take a look at, because I don't think he's going to be overly expensive. Andre Palat, man, he's really good in the playoffs. He's 31, so he's getting up there in age. But I mean, you're talking about a guy like regular season production wise. It's not a ton there. Like he put up, what do you have this year? Did he score 20 this year? I had it in front of me a minute ago. And now it's gone. But anyway, I figured that out. Anyway, he had 18 goals this year. Like that's not going to blow you away in terms of production, but the guy is a gamer in the playoffs. And I don't know, like in terms of like under the radar moves that may not be all that expensive, guys like that, I still think they need another guy like that they just don't have.
Well, yeah, and that also gets into it's like everybody's gonna be focused on the big ticket handful of possibilities, but are you better off with two like mid-level ads? Again, I'm talking in a scenario in which Forsberg's coming back, or three mid-level ads or whatever it is to fortify more spots than trying to go after the one big fish that people might want you to go after. And again, I don't know, man. I think a trade is going to be a part of this whole picture. And I just have a feeling that Poyle already has that in his head.
Well, and as we know, today, the 6-year anniversary of the Shea Weber PK Subban trade, he is not afraid to pull the trigger when he feels like that could be a chance. So we'll see what happens on that front. We are about a week away from NHL draft day. So like I said, something to keep your eye on there. Elliot Friedman's been on the DDC a couple times this year, talked about how the movement could be pretty significant this offseason in the NHL. So I'm interested to see what happens on that front. Joe, that's going to do it for us today here on the program. We'll see if we burn Twitter completely to the ground by the time we come back on the show tomorrow.
It's still going hot and heavy. Everybody check it out.
Looking forward to it. The DDC is coming up next. You're listening to 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
The MTSU Blue Raiders live here.
Down, Middle Tennessee! 3-ball, yes, sir!
And when you're in the borough, tune us in on 97.5.
In the end zone, caught, touchdown!
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5, The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
This segment of ESPN 102.5 The Game is brought to you by Train Heating and Cooling Systems. Tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit traininfo.com to find your local independent train dealer. Traininfo.com. It's hard to stop a train.
The Authentically American 4th of July collection is live and ready to ship. Go to authenticallyamerican.us right now to order yours. Plus, 20% of all purchases from the 4th of July collection will be donated to Homes for Our Troops, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to build and donate specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans to enable them and to rebuild their lives. Have a happy and safe 4th of July from Authentically American. Made for you, made in America. Authentically American.
When Smashville wants to rock. We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free Fix Finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light. and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service.